kiss and I'll get lost. I can't take this anymore. One more step, we have it all. The fever's knocking at your door. One more kiss and I'll get lost. I can't take this anymore. One more step, we have it all. The fever's knocking at your door. Can you feel the fever? You give me a fever again.
Yes, I know it's just your game, but I love to be the one who gets played, yeah. There I go and I just fall again. Cause baby, I like the way I'm loving you. I like the hell you put me through. I keep on chasing after you. Can you feel the fever? You can be a fever. I like the things you make me do. You know how to make me like a fool. The way you smile, the way you move. Can you feel the fever? You can be a fever again. You can be a fever again.
One episode of Cider's 01 show, and I am already positive that it would do way better than Doctor Who.
All I'm waiting for is the episode where I take Swift Food to Suplex City, bitch.
I hope she got indigestion from our planet.
Lactus strikes again. God, oh my
Swift
God. Guys, so that was the very first episode of the 01 series that Cider has been working on. We told you that all the assets he's been making, all the little lore he's been creating, it's not for nothing. He's actually going out, he's creating something, and that was the first I ever saw of it. And I got to tell you, I am blown away by it. I thought that was hilarious. The dialogue, Cider, read exactly like an old school 90s RPG that was not translated right, you know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
A little, yeah. Like a little, it's a little rough, but that's what it's supposed to be, you know? There's no my gosh, my lady, where are we going? I don't know. There's something about the cadence of how all the text was coming out that I was just that was beautiful. That was amazing.
Thank you.
But yes, everybody, with that introduction, with that very first episode of the 01 show, We are here to kick off the latest episode of the 01 stream. As always, I am your host, Spencer Piccoli, the editor-in-chief of Bounding Into Comics. I am joined, as always, by my good friends, Jacob of Jacob Society Reviews and Cider Hype. We do have Josh as well. He is not technically on the stream, but he will be in the chat tonight. He doesn't have a voice, so he opted to take some recovery time. Nerdigans is MIA, but I think she might be joining us later, hopefully, so we will see her then. But aside from that, guys, we have a lot to talk about this week. I know I say that every week, but this week has been particularly wild, I would have to say. I guess,
Prickly.
obviously, what'd you say?
Prickly.
Prickly is a really good word. My emotion this entire week. So obviously the big hubbub this week is with the premiere of Doctor Who, the new season. It has tanked. Nobody's watching it. And like clockwork, all of the production team are coming out, the actors, the showrunner, they're attacking fans and they're telling, we don't need you, go away. And it is, I've kind of found myself stunned where I'm not like a giant Doctor Who fan. I've watched a couple of them. I dated a girl once who was like a very super Doctor Who fan. So I picked up some stuff through that. And so like, I feel like I'm on the outside looking in at a fandom that's going through the exact same thing we've gone through with like Star Wars or Halo or Marvel. Like it's so crazy. I don't know. We will obviously get into it. And then, of course, there is the Assassin's Creed news, which we will definitely be getting into, and just more video game. Video games aren't getting any better. Movies clearly aren't getting any better. We will definitely be talking about Marvel's two latest blunders, because they're not. I don't know if they're really article worthy, but they're something we should definitely laugh at. So we've got a lot to talk about tonight. But as always, before we truly get into everything, let's say hi to everybody in the chat, starting with the first person who is here tonight. RJ McReady says, Doctor Who's been dead a while. This is the headstone. Absolutely. I mean, what was it? The last Doctor, right? 13th, Jodie Whittaker. That was a pretty bad run for this show. I mean, one of the things I will never forget from that run is that when she regenerates into the 13th Doctor, so when it goes from Capaldi to Whittaker, there's literally like a shot of she's in a room, and when she regenerates, a glass ceiling above her like shatters because of the energy coming off of her. And then the Doctor like looks at the camera and like gives like a wink, like, oh, look at that. I'm a woman. I'm breaking the glass ceiling. And that was the moment where I was just like, oh man, you guys are in for like such a bad ride. And then little did we know just how off the rails it would get when Davies came back. Because remember, there were a lot of people who thought Davies would be the savior of Doctor Who again, that they would bring the show back from the Whittaker era. And oh man, has he just gone like fully off a curve, just completely drunk behind the wheel, going 90.
You suck.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
look, I'm not a fan of Doctor Who like at all. Like I don't really care much about the show, but from everything I've heard about Doctor Who over the last month, is that they've gone so far past like, oh, we're gonna do something that may anger you. It's like, no, we're gonna do something that anger you. If you dare have a problem with it, F off.
Oh,
and that's been their entire marketing strategy of this entire series.
That has been their entire marketing strategy. And once we finally get into it, I have had the misfortune of catching some of the last two episodes and all the specials, because I have to quote the episodes or I have to grab screenshots. So I've seen what's been happening in them. And oh man, it is what we got so far in these first two episodes is like so aggressively bad that it feels like, again, somebody on Twitter, and I really wish I could remember who quoted this on one of our articles recently. They're a longtime reader. If you're in here, let me know. If you're not, I'm sorry. I know you're out there. I'll give you a shout out later. But regardless, they said, all media in the last like 20 years has been obsessed with trying to like get dunks on imaginary bullies. And that's literally what these first two episodes are. We'll get into it, but they are really, really bad. I'm sure you've heard, Jacob, at least, for those who, Rick Aragon over on the Barroom podcast of his own stuff. Like he's a fan of it and he's like, this is really bad. And so is, Peter Pischke, like the Happy Warrior, contributor to Bounding, great guy. Everybody knows him. He always tries to be so positive, even to a fault. And he's like, this is bad. he can't even find anything good to talk about like with this new series. So you are not wrong in your assessment. From there, we have Leslie Tarkin saying, "Hail to all you lovely people. Hail to you, Leslie. It's not a show without Leslie in the house." Ravul Arvita checking in from down under saying, hail to you, my fellow weeb friend. We have Meteor Advocate Timon saying, hey yo to you, amigo. Always a pleasure to have you. It's not a show without the eccentric banana. Hail to you. Again, it's always a pleasure to have every single one of you. I know it sounds like I'm just rehashing the same canned response, but it really is. Like, I'm excited to see every single one of you, including you, DZ3, who's finally here, right? Like, it's not a show until all you guys are here, like Tehillim with, yes, exactly, release the cider cut. That is something I would want to see. Maybe we will. Maybe at the end of the day, maybe when all is said and done, we'll release a DVD collection of it, like Red versus Blue used to do.
Sure, the Blu-ray. You bet.
Yes, yeah, exactly. The Blu-ray. We'll get commentary tracks going on it.
Oh boy.
We'll get behind the scenes, and we'll crowdfund it, and then Diamond can help us fulfill it because that's what they're doing nowadays. Let's see. There was one more person who showed up that I wanted to give a shout out to. Where did they go? I guess it was probably to Helen. But in the meantime, we have Josh. There he is. I told you he was there. So there's Josh saying, "Boo earns, boo you. Get better soon and get up and get back on here." But with that, we can probably start getting into topics for the night. I guess I will let you know what we were talking about Doctor Who. I guess we can talk about Doctor Who. So the long story short of it, guys, is if you haven't been following all of the development drama around the series, so Russell T Davies is the current showrunner for Doctor Who. He's really notable for having helped revive the series back when it came back in 2005, series 9, series 10, all that fun stuff. He left the show. We got some okay seasons and we got some really bad ones with Whittaker. Then he got tapped to return for this new season. And while everybody thought, oh, finally, Davies is going to bring storytelling back to Doctor Who, like we're finally going to get adventures and keep doing things like that. We didn't get that. Or I don't want to say we, because again, I don't consider myself a Doctor Who fan, but you Doctor Who fans didn't get that. Instead, what you got is the most like aggressive, progressive socio-political messaging vehicle on the face of the planet. And that comes from an admission from Davies himself. Last week, he was giving an interview and the interviewer asked him, "Hey, I've noticed that there are a lot more progressive themes in your show. You're taking a lot of you're interjecting things like pronoun discussion, and an entire episode is about abortion. Like, what's up with that? Like, tell us about that." And Davies was straight up like, if you're not writing that in 2024, what are you doing? Like, we have to do this. This is what I'm using the show for. So he straight up admitted that he's using this, like he's using Doctor Who for a progressive platform, essentially. Mm-hmm. And that has resulted in sort of what I was mentioning a couple of minutes ago, which is all of the episodes so far are just chock full of the most like Tumblr level, liberal arts college, 17-year-old progressive messaging. And that's from like the beginning of all the specials where Davies came back and Nakuti Gatwa was being introduced, right? Like, if you guys remember in those specials, we had instances like, what is her name? Donna was revealed to have a transgender kid, and that transgender kid, it was a male to female transgender kid. And at the end of the episode, yeah, exactly.
Jason.
Yeah, that's her name. I cannot remember anything about that.
That's his name, what he was born with.
I completely tuned out. I don't even know what their transit. Like, I just said, like, okay, after this, I'm done. I don't want any attention paid to this. But they not only did they introduce the transgender character, but they also did the thing. Like, they had this moment at the end where, there's this energy that is super destructive and it has to be released or it'll keep destroying the Doctor. And I am that is a very truncated version of what the plot is. But essentially, the women were able to let it go, including the transgender kid, because we're women. It was literally that. They were like, Doctor, you should have
female presenting.
Oh,
that's what they said. Female presenting.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, that was the key to it. And then in that same episode, you had the doctor like interrogating a villain, like an enemy little Muppet villain, and Donna's like kid was, chastise him on how to use male pronouns, and that was the stuff that just kept happening all throughout those specials. And then you get to, the first introduction we have of the doctor is him dancing in like a club, like a very young rave party club, which is like weird. I don't know, like that's not necessarily bad writing. The execution was bad, I guess. I don't know, it just felt completely off and stupid. But
Well,
then
honestly,
yeah,
it felt like when Dr. Venture was on his drug trip after the boys got like killed, and like Brock had to go get him, and he was running from Brock everywhere, And that's really what it felt like, is he was like trying to outrun like Jack Harkness, trying to bring him back to the TARDIS to do his job,
Right. That is literally what it felt like. Like he doesn't really truly want to be there. And then of course, so we get into this new season, and the first episode right off the bat is a full-blown, and they admitted this themselves, and it's also not that like hidden if you're actually watching the episode, but the first episode is like a full-blown analogy for like reproductive rights, like why abortion is good, we should have abortion, like all that stuff. It is not,
let's sacrifice all of our babies to Moloch.
It kind of is literally like that. Like it is, honestly, they have a big goo monster that might as well be that thing. And then in the next episode, they introduce, all right, now follow me here, because even me, who is like admittedly the most like I don't give a shit about this stuff on the panel right now, like even I admit that this is like whack and confusing. So in the second episode, they introduce a villain called the Maestro, and the Maestro is the kid of the toy maker, and the Maestro is played by a transgender drag queen. And when they first appear in the episode, so there's a kid playing a piano, and he's like, so the episode opens on a kid playing the piano, and his like teacher is there instructing him. And all of a sudden the teacher like turns around and he turns back, and the Maestro is sitting there, drag queen, villain, whatever, sitting next to the kid. And the teacher goes like, who is she? Like what is she doing or whatever? And the Maestro's first line of dialogue is like, I'm a they. And she like lectures him on like, I'm not a he, I'm not a she, it's they. And it's like a whole lecture on non-binary pronouns. And then you learn that the kid is the Maestro's kid somehow. And basically that's sort of how the entire episode plays out. And then you get to the end of that first episode, and there's literally just, I don't know what the hell they were thinking with this. A lot of you guys might have seen the clip going around like the internet, but the second episode ends with just like an unrelated like dance number, like a musical dance number with like a whole bunch of people in choreographed dance, and Nakuti Gat was singing a song, and it has nothing to really do with anything in the episode. And then you come to learn later on in a post-episode interview that they included that scene as sort of like you don't like Nakuti Gatwa being gay? Well, let's be super gay then. And then they put in like a musical scene, but like it doesn't.
It's raining men.
It's not even that cool. Like the literal premise of the song is like the main lyric is there's always a twist at the end. And it's supposed to be like about how there's always subversion. And so they subvert your expectations by going, instead of giving you a plot twist, they give you like a direction twist, and they go from serious show to musical number. And like, I'm not against musical numbers in shows. Like, I think we all know that. I take that. I will wear that crimson letter. Like, I like musicals. Like, I'm fine with them. But it has to make sense in what you're doing. It was sort of the same thing that Star Trek did when they did that musical episode, and they had like the K-pop dance routine.
They flew through a space fart, and it all made them dance for a little while.
That at least had like there was something there. They at least had the space fart. This is just literally like, let's troll the audience, and it's not even like a good troll. Like it's not like cheeky enough to be good. It's just so bad.
To get back to the biggest problem with this episode completely is that this is the son of the toy maker.
Just one of them.
Yeah.
Well, no, this is the biggest problem with the entire episode in my
I was about to say,
opinion.
Cider did clarify biggest.
I can forgive the Maestro's situation here. See, I say Maestro because that's Maelstrom. Is it? See, I see.
I like that
That's
better.
what I see there. Not
like
Maestro as MEI. May is in like Maelstrom. That's what I see.
Maelstrom. Yeah, I
So anyway,
really like that.
So the Maestro, that is that character is the son of the toy maker, and the toy that's the embodiment of games, and so the Maestro is the embodiment of music because Russell T Davies has no fucking ideas anymore, and it's just ghosts of stuff. There's going to be the toaster, and there's just going to be a guy that's like the embodiment of baking, and it's just very very dumb. It's like that filler shonen stuff that they used to pick up for WB that was just like, I'm here to sell toys. Hi. But this doesn't sell toys. So you have this character who the doctor defeated, which was the toy maker. Now this left the Maestro with no parent because apparently there was no mother involved. And so what you have now is you have a severely damaged character going out and in a fictional realm where they could have made the opposite choice. This isn't real world, real life. Became a villain and became the embodiment of what Russell T Davies is trying to normalize. All right? So this is a problem, Mr. T Davies, is that when you go out here and you're going to I'm going to make things okay for trans people, we're going to make things okay for divergent sexualities. Oops, the main villain of my thing was damaged by his parents into becoming a divergent sexuality, just like those darn red hat haters say
they literally do that every time. And I cannot, we've talked about this on this show before, it is just, there is some psychological tell happening because every time the super vocal online trans activists latch onto a character and say, this is representation, this is for us, it is always an abused character, somebody who got experimented on. Yep. Every character that does not help their arguments. I'm sorry, it's to all the LGBT people out there. The more you keep going this is our character, the more you're sort of just proving the point of your critics who go, oh, you are like this because you were completely damaged and something is mentally not okay with you, which with trans that is what happens. I mean,
it's one of the things.
The Ellen Page thing still gets to my still sits in my head, and I'm not even religious. When she
you have to remember a ghost. A ghost told her that she should probably be trans. And
that's what I mean. That's the thing that sticks in my head. She had that whole interview where she was like, "I heard voices as soon as I did this. I heard voices in my head telling me to go do it," and I'm like. Even as a healthy person who generally would consider himself supportive of LGBT people, this is a red flag. You need help, not surgery.
Here's the too long didn't read. Don't listen to demons that tell you to change your gender. That's be the takeaway pro tip.
Don't do that.
But I think that's what happened with Demi Lovato too. Sorry, Cider, I keep cutting you off. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. But this is Vincent Price and a few other actors back in the day talked about this. Is that most of the villains that were finding their way to the silver screen and even the B-movie genre that was just burgeoning at the time were gay coded. That wasn't the word that they used back then.
Yeah.
But the phrase that they used is that they were gay people. They were effeminate, foppish people. The villain was not interested in kidnapping the woman to do naughty things to her. He was interested in kidnapping the woman to bait a man to him. And this is what Vincent Price said, and he explained that we need to stop making the villains just gay guys. There's more to that whole experience of being evil than just being gay. And that was one of the reasons why he took so many villain roles, not just because he was a creepy weird guy, but because he wanted to break the stereotype that only gay guys play villains. I mean, granted, he was an effeminate fellow, but most guys who come up in theater are a little hee-hee, I would know.
Always, absolutely.
No, not the theater kids, no.
Yeah, what? No way, not those
the theater kids are limp-wristed? I don't believe it. That must be alternative facts.
So Leslie Tarkin says, most of the people in the alphabet community were abused. Well, here we are with the Maestro, who was abused by the doctor, had his parent taken away from him, and as a result, either ended up in some kind of supernatural placement system, foster care system, or however it worked, but ended up being this as a result. Which again, as I said earlier, is what those pesky red-hatted right wingers like to say is the pipeline to being gay. You get hurt as a kid, you become whatever this is.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like you guys are playing right into it. Like it's so dumb, it's so stupid. But that, like, and again, I don't know, just yeah, like Cider.
It's like my thing is, it's like, look,
like Cider got it.
there's two things happening here. It's like, one, I'm glad that at least the creators here have the balls to admit that this is exactly what they're doing, because let's be honest, the overwhelming majority of entertainment that's out there pretends like, oh no, we're just doing it for the entertainment and the numbers and for your enjoyment, and they're not doing it for that at all. So at least they're telling you that. And then two, when you tell me straight up that if I don't like what you're doing, don't watch it, then I'm just not gonna watch it, and I can't really say that I'm even interested in any of the outrage going on with this show, because you told me straight up not to watch it. So I was just like, okay,
dude, exactly. And like that is sort of what I was mentioning before, is that they, like, we've seen that happen before with like Star Wars and comic books and video games. Like, oh, if you don't like it, don't buy it, don't watch it, don't tune in. And we've gotten that.
Just to pause you right there. Just to pause right there. When has that ever ended well for any company?
It has literally never worked. It has never worked. And that's what I was saying at the beginning.
It's like communism, guys. That wasn't the real version of that. Okay. All right.
Now we're gonna try it for real.
Exactly. See,
but like, and it's never in like the sense of like, hey, look, we're just trying like a different style of entertainment. If this isn't your thing, then maybe go watch something else. But this is our vision. This is what we're doing here. They're just saying, no, if you just don't like what we're doing, just don't watch our stuff because you're a bad person. Yeah, exactly.
Like, we don't want to hear from you. And that's what I was sort of saying at the beginning of the show, is like we are seeing all of the same like plays that have been used against like every fandom before being employed against the Doctor Who fans. And it's just sort of like, it almost feels like I'm looking into it like a backwards time telescope. Like, I can't believe people are still doing this, because to like Jacob and Cider's points, not only have we had so we've like this, the drag queen actor for the Maestro, they came out and they straight up said, like, if you don't want to watch, who needs you? Like, we don't need you. And claimed that. And this was the funniest claim I think they said in their entire argument, because they were giving this interview about, what do you expect the backlash to be to your character? What do you think about the progressive direction? Blah, 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 blah. And they said straight up like, oh, if people tune out, well, we don't need them, blah, blah, blah. But then they were like, for every viewer that tunes out, we're going to gain 2 or 3 who are excited for trans representation. And to your point, Jacob, I went, when has that literally worked out? That has never happened.
Please play the John Cena meme right now.
I don't. What meme?
The are you sure about that?
Are you sure about that?
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
John Cena looks a little different.
I thought you had the John Cena one too, which would have made it a lot funnier.
It was a different one. Yeah, there's another one with John Cena. But no, like that's what I read that sentence and that was my reaction. Like, you sure about that? That's never happened. We talk about this all the time. We have the numbers to back it up. All of these, Marvel creators, DC creators, movie directors, they come out and they say, this is for this audience. I know they're going to come out and support us. We want that audience. And they never do. They never buy these products. They only whine about it on social media. One of my favorite things to do as a comic book fan is when I'm on Twitter and I see people complaining about, or not necessarily complaining, but go making a big to-do out of like, oh, here's representation. Oh, look, they took a swing at those nasty men. Like, good job. Zeb Wells, whatever. In all of those threads, my favorite thing to do is like, you go and you read the responses. You go like look into all the people who are going like, yeah, that's great. And all of them admit like, I don't buy that. Oh, I don't have money right now to buy the comics. Oh yeah, no, I've actually never read the comics. I just follow them on Twitter. And
I don't even know what this is, to be honest with you.
I've seen so many of those on like 7 different subjects this week alone. Like, it is bizarre how many people choose to like weigh in without having read.
I only saw one of the Lord of the Rings movies because my ex-boyfriend made me sit through it. But like, let me tell you that Gandalf is fucking gay. Okay,
that's literally That's always what it is. That's always what it is. Like, oh yeah, my boyfriend made me watch it, or I read, you know what I read a YouTuber video essay on it, and that's where they get their opinions on. And it's just
I watched a video about Lord of the Rings. Now
I watched a 20-minute summation of the 8-hour trilogy, and now I know exactly what Tolkien wanted. There were books I didn't even know
Aragorn should have been gay. It was just the limitation of the time that prevented him from being a gay man for Agent Smith, the guy that ran Rivendell.
No, that's 100% what it is. Like the gatekeeping debate, right? Everybody goes, oh, you shouldn't gatekeep, blah, blah, blah. But those people who respond with like what people consider gatekeeping, those are the people who actually like engage with the product and buy it and know what they're talking about. And, that fan, like, it's not even necessarily gatekeeping half the time. It's just like, Cider, you said you're a giant Batman fan. What's your actual favorite, like, storyline?
Well, I'm 5'7", so I'm not that giant. I mean, like, to an ant, maybe.
To a bit, but it's like, Cider, what's your favorite Batman story? I have, and, is it Nightfall? Is it No Man's Land? Is it
It's the one where he couldn't get rid of the bomb. I saw that on Sci-Fi Channel.
Bingo, exactly. Yeah, like that's where they go, and that's their official takeaway. That's what they cite as like their entry into the fandom, and it's just like, these people don't engage. Stop pandering to them, because it doesn't work out for you people. And we have proof that it hasn't worked out for Doctor Who, because the series, like these two premieres, have posted insanely abysmal numbers. Like really both episodes combined for a little over like 5 million viewers. So there have been 2 episodes so far. Episode 1 got like 2.6 million views on premiere, and episode 2 got like 2.3. Nobody tuned in to watch these. People listened to what you had to say and tuned out. They walked away. You don't need them? Well, then they don't need you. And the other thing is, like, because of this, what do you call it? Like the failure of this season so far, like the fact that people are tuning out, you're seeing the crew take like they're pushing all the disingenuous narratives that we see all the time, especially Ncuti Gatwa, right? There are at least 2 interviews now, probably more because he's been speaking with everybody because it's press tour time. But in at least 2 interviews, Ncuti has like, or I don't know if that's how you say it. That's how I say his name. But Ncuti, like,
apparently it's Shooty.
Shooty?
I know.
I don't even know how we get there. Jacob, I blame you for this, and you know why. At your next magical meeting, you guys need to put this on the table and get him to pronounce those names.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you. I tried to go to the meeting a couple weeks ago. They don't really like me over there. They don't agree a lot of my opinion. So I don't know how long I'm gonna be there, to be completely honest with you.
It sounds like you're probably gonna make your own spin-off branch. The Proud Magicals.
Yeah, right.
So wait, is it Chiga then? Is that how you say it?
Chiga.
Oh God, I'm not touching this one. You two can have this conversation.
I got Ncuti. Yep, he's got Ncuti.
Ncuti. There we go. I like that one. But he's gone out in like 2 different interviews at least, and he's like he's trying to paint everybody who's not tuning in as racist, or people who said, oh, we don't want this series. He's trying to do the thing where it's like, oh, you didn't like me? You're all racist. You're all homophobes. You're all blah, blah, blah. There is the
one response I just absolutely like love to that is just the Thanos meme of, I don't even know who you are.
Right. like that's what a lot of people have done. They're like, it's not even about you. It's about all of the writing. It's about Davies. It's about, we've seen what you're giving us and we don't want it. So he's trying to do you're all racist if you don't tune in. Literally, one of the interviews was given to Business Insider, and while speaking to Business Insider, Business Insider brought up one of the two. Either he did or Business Insider did. It's in the article. They mentioned like Moses Ingram also faced racist hate for her casting in Acolyte, and it's just like, you guys are still playing that when literally, like, look, I would bet dollars to donuts that most of the people on that progressive side, in Davies' camp, in the supporters of the new season, I would bet so much money that if you ask them what they thought of us and our readers, bounding into comics, they would go, oh, they're all Rossicists, bigots, blah, 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 all this, all of this. They absolutely didn't want a black man as Doctor Who. I have seen like very, very few truly racist like criticisms of his casting from like people responding to our tweets. And I think that would blow them all away, because in reality, people just don't want to be preached at. Like how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? Like,
here's the thing that I don't think they've realized this yet, but they're going to the hard way, because this is how they learn all their lessons. We're kind of at that point where we were 20 years ago. Remember when digital cable first became a thing, and all of a sudden it was like, oh my god, I got like 1,000 channels to watch now. There's so much variety of things that I can watch. Who knows what I can like. And then after like 2 years, people got sick and tired because they realized like everything was trash. But we're pretty much at the same point now with kind of in the streaming world, where it's like they think that somehow people are obligated to like watch this series, where it's like, dude, there's thousands of other things that you can watch on thousands of other streaming services now. It's like no one really even paying attention to anything you guys are doing. Like nobody has to get Disney Plus so they can go watch this gay Doctor Who show. It's like they have Netflix, they have Hulu, they have Discovery Plus, they have Max, they have Tubi, Paramount Plus, Pluto TV, Phil TV. Like they have so many like different options now. It's like I said, it's not like you have like control over the market where it's like, oh my god, everyone is forced to watch. It's like, no, I don't even care about Doctor Who anymore. I'm like, I
don't remember digital cable.
You don't even remember television.
The 4 times the guide button. Well, they're bringing it back.
It was
you guys excited.
It was, I think it was either 2002 or 2001 where they kind of shifted from analog cable to digital cable and put everything on a satellite. So remember like back in the 90s where you can watch like scrambled pay-per-views and stuff like that, and then with your little like fixed box, like I say, you were just a deprived
I'm
child.
sorry, I live in the north. I live in the country. Like I had sticks and I had the woods, and occasionally I watched Power Rangers. I'm sorry.
Well, he only gets things like 5 years later once the VHSs get like donated to the lab.
He's still on Betamax.
Yeah, exactly. Betamax. Yeah. That's you know when they bring in the TV with the VCR. Yeah, we had like the film reel in the back with the teacher like.
Remember those TVs that were so big if it fell on your child it'll die, like those type of
models. Yeah.
One person had that in the entire state of Maine, and they were that was the king of Maine.
Oh no! Like I actually have a really interesting story about this. My dad's first wife's dad, so his father-in-law of his first wife. He built one of the first televisions. Like it wasn't like he made it. He like made it, sent away to get a kit, and you got the television. But like it was in Maine, so like you had like this little teeny tiny screen, and he said all you could get on it was shadows because it's Maine. Nobody's beaming a signal to Maine.
Yeah, nobody's over there.
He's like it was like the '60s before you could pick up Canadian television.
That was
anything could come
Canadians
through.
had electricity. Like I'm not
even.
See that's another struggle that kids these days will never understand. Like now you can just like pick up your TV and just lift it up to another room with like ease. Like it only takes like not even a minute to like do it.
You need
like
a
neighborhood. But back in the day, like when your TV was on like one part of the room, it would stay there for like 6 months, and then like you would have to take out like a Saturday and get like 2 of your friends to help you like move it to like another side of the room because it was so heavy.
Like the pool table and television were the heaviest things in your house. You didn't drive.
Bingo. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Like I remember my dad bought one of those big TVs, and we got it into the house, and we like got it off, and it wasn't set right, but he was just like, leave it. Like I don't even care, and it stayed there for like 9 months, and it was like completely not set right and just unangled, but he's like, I don't want to move it. Like that thing is a monster. I just don't want to touch it.
I used to have one of those TVs where like the button broke off after a while, so I had to like literally stick my finger inside the television to turn it on, like literally risking electrocution every single time I'm turning on the television.
And then they had the nerve that an infomercial would be on when the TV finally powered up. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it.
I remember I had this is like not even like an old TV story, but I once had a TV that it was just like a standard like CRT thing, like 32 inches or whatever, but it gave out one day. And so like when you turned it on, it would only have like a dot and then a white line across it. And it would play audio. It was completely fine, but we were poor. So like it's not like I could go get another TV. So I remember like I would turn on my PlayStation, I would let the game go, and then I would have to like lift up the TV and like drop it on its corner until it like got to normal. And then it's like, all right, I've got 45 minutes of game time until I have to pause again and do this.
Like those things were fucking heavy. Like I hate to break this to you. Like imagine being like, an 11-year-old kid. You're trying to like lift up a 40-pound television from one side of the room to another. Like it was not easy.
And it's awkward weight because all the weight's in the front. The back end's just plastic. So it's like blip.
For like no reason, just to put like the wires in there. Oh man. And then like the worst was when you had those TVs, and then since they were technically projectors, sometimes like a bug would get in there. And you'd be like watching a movie or whatever, and you're like, there's a giant like fly
moth just banging against the back of the screen.
Like that. I got a moth once. That was
I'm in the movie, guys. Look,
I did it. That's probably Mothra trying to get their 15 minutes.
That's what happened. Yep. Japanese guys like, enough of this.
Where was this? Eccentric Banana says those old ass TVs still work though. They do. I mean, that's sort of what we're just like an aside. And I know Cider totally knows about this. Like all the older technology lasts. What we get nowadays is meant to break on purpose so that you have to go.
Dude, they sell television. They sell televisions at Walmart now for like $70. Like, how much effort do you think they're putting into those TVs?
They're not worth it. So
I had a Sanyo. You remember Sanyo?
Yes.
I had a Sanyo that everything it stayed alive in it. It was perfectly functional, but the plastic got so old. The weight of the television equipment inside crushed the bottom of the case. The plastic aged so much. The television was fine. Just the case just disintegrated off of it under the weight of gravity itself. Just the 15 pounds of gravity just crushed this thing.
That like Cider, you know about like with like Transformer toys and stuff, like the gold curse, right? Like the curse of gold joints.
Yep.
So for those who don't know, they're like Transformers toys especially are notorious for, if you get a toy with like gold plastic joints in it, like the plastic golden mold, those are not strong. Like they will break very, very easily. No. So now I'm just imagining like that is the end game of the gold curse. Like just your entire TV just like giving in on itself. It feels like that's how like a post-apocalyptic movie ends. Like that's how the White House crumbles. I don't know.
Speaking of crumbling, there goes Tomb Raider.
Oh yeah, guys, did you see this? Like this is, speaking of awful TV that nobody's going to want and is going to be a complete ratings disaster. Amazon has finally greenlit the Tomb Raider series from Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Now, this was rumored to be in production about a year ago. Last June, Phoebe Waller-Bridge confirmed she was working on it. Then on yesterday, we got the official confirmation, like Amazon officially placed a series order for Tomb Raider, essentially. We don't know anything about what it will, like, we don't know any details about it. It will follow Lara Croft and not a new character or a side character. So, I mean, some people say that that's a good thing. Like, yay, it's Lara, but I'm like, just get ready for
Pain.
Yeah, like Pain. Get ready for girl boss Lara. Like, you know it's coming, especially because aside from Phoebe Waller-Bridge's attachment, the only other person we know who is attached to it, and I need to get this person's credits right because they are so absolutely bad.
Not in the Michael Jackson way. Actual bad.
Yeah, not in the 90s. Like, oh, this is so bad. But so aside from Phoebe Waller-Bridge, there's only been one other person announced to be working on this project, and that is a writer by the name of Megan McDonnell. Now, you probably don't know her name, but you definitely know what she's worked on because she was the story editor for WandaVision and the first writer for the Marvels. So she wrote the first version that got completely like, we need to get rid of this. Like, it needs to be gone. So
that was worse than what they filmed. Dang.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so that's who you have in charge of Tomb Raider now, a live-action Tomb Raider series from Rings of Power Studio, Amazon, helmed by Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny star and Fleabag creator Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and with writing assistance from the first person who was tapped to write The Marvels. Like, that's bad. Like, it's just, I don't know how anybody can have any hope here. And I know, like, a lot of, here's my thing with Amazon is like they have such an inconsistent track record. Sometimes they make something that's really, 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 really rad, and then other times they make something that is just absolutely terrible, right? Like you have on one end of the spectrum, you have something like Invincible, then you have the Rings of Power, you have something like The Samaritan, then you have The Terminal List. Or wait, is that what it was? No. Tomorrow War. Tomorrow War. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, that was an awful movie.
I mean, Amazon, it makes a little bit more sense why they're so inconsistent, because I mean, Jeff Bezos is basically just throwing his money around with like no care whatsoever. So he'll literally give it to anyone who says, "Oh, I got a project." Be like, here you go. Here's 20 million. Just go do it and go get away from me.
That is essentially what he's doing, and we know there's no oversight because even he was like, "Oh, I didn't know Rings of Power was going to be that bad." Like he's like,
"Oh wait, this show sucks ass. I did this."
He literally, like, I think he like, I now just have the image from what Jacob said, where it's like, "Yeah, here, oh, you need $50,000? Go. What'd you get me? Oh, that's bad. Okay, no, well, you get $60,000."
It was like he was on a conversation with a guy. It's like, "Yeah, I heard that Rings of Power show is complete ass. I can't believe Netflix did that." It's like, "Sir, that's Amazon." I was like, "Wait, we did that?
Like, wait, what? We did what?" But yeah, like I can't imagine that this series is going to be anything fun. Like, we haven't had good adventuring series in a long time, and a lot of that is because what am I trying to say here? Like, archaeology has gotten wokeified.
Let's be very, very clear here. Like, if Phoebe Waller-Bridge, if Barack Obama didn't pretend to be a fan of her television show like 5 years ago, she would quite literally be flipping burgers at McDonald's. That's pretty much where her entire 100%. Career is coming down to.
Where was I? I was either on Twitter or I was on like Reset Era. I know it's just somebody might have linked me, but I was reading a discussion earlier today of I think it was a Reddit thread where somebody shared the news that Phoebe Waller-Bridge was on Tomb Raider to like a Fleabag community or like to Phoebe Waller-Bridge fans, and they were all of them were like, her work hasn't been like the best since Fleabag, but she'll kill it this time. Like they all know her stuff has sucked, but they like cannot bring themselves to admit it's bad. It is fangirlism, and let's be very clear, fangirlism to like the extreme. Well, fangirls and like soy boys, because those are the people who always support these kind of projects. Oh yeah, strong Laura time, let's go. I mean, we've already seen what they've tried to do with the series so far. I mean, censorship of the Tomb Raider Remastered Collection aside, because that's a whole other can of worms, we've had confirmation from Crystal Dynamics themselves, who are the developer currently in charge of Tomb Raider, that not only are they trying to like distance themselves from the series' colonialist origins, but they're also trying to, I guess, diversify the game. I mean, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. There's that new RPG, like tabletop RPG Tomb Raider game they made, where one of the main character, or like, what do you call it, like demo characters, featured characters, is a fat black disabled tech genius with the Oscar Pistorius legs. I mean, basically at this point,
it's right there on screen.
There it is. Like, we got into it, right? I think Cider was like, who's adventuring like this? Like, how does it?
How do you adventure in these uneven stone floor temples that have all these booby trap things? You got all these open crevices. You've got all these uneven rock stone floor pieces.
Yeah.
You've got cliffs edges. You've got to have like the ability to get a foothold in anything. It's like, that's not going to work.
I love the idea of the pressure sensor, because that you will only realize you've tripped it
once your body drops.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only way you'll know.
Too late. But so like we've got that. I don't know if you guys saw it, but there's a a mobile game, I guess, that, or like a something they released an update for, where Lara Croft goes to raid a tomb, and she has this like turn to the camera moment almost speech where she's like, "Oh, I'm here to raid, like we got to get this artifact. But we've learned in recent years that it's not okay to steal other cultures' artifacts, so we must be respectful while going in and investigating." And it's just like, oh, shut the hell up. Like, we know these things. Like, that's the reason these genres don't work anymore, Indiana Jones or Tomb Raider, because the second somebody goes out and has an adventure, if they come across an artifact or whatever they do, people will crap their pants about cultural appropriation, colonizer, yada 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 yada. Blah,
all right,
blah, blah,
so
blah,
here's
blah,
your
blah,
opening,
blah, blah.
guys. Here's your opening. All right, you go out, you take Lara Croft, you go copy, paste, and you give her the attitude of, "No, I'm going to sell them on the black market. Screw your culture. You should have went out and got them." You have that character out there, and her lesson out of all of this is don't sell it to the black market. Hold it hostage to sell it to the government. Do the thing that the Lord of War guy there was doing in Lost Treasure, where he would find stuff and say, "Well, I'll give it to you if you pay me a certain amount of money," you know? And create that character. Everybody will love that character.
That reminds me of the Hobby Lobby guys got busted like illegally importing like ancient artifacts in their Hobby Lobby like crates. Like it was like an 80s drug movie, but with ancient art.
That would have been a setup. Well, that would have been a setup for a Lara Croft parody that some like sewing marm knitting circle woman has to use her knitting needles to fight off people who are stealing artifacts from sites that she used to explore when she was a young woman in college. You know,
like it. You know, unfortunately,
that's a parody.
That's the parody, but they're gonna make that like. That will be the villain. They're going to have another Tomb Raider, probably a guy, a Tomb Raider, a guy who is only in it to steal the artifacts, and we, disrespect the cultures, and he's going to be the tall white guy or whatever. And Laura's going to be, "Oh, I know better. I learned. I know that we should respect these cultures. We got to return them." And it's so boring. I don't know. To me, if you go raid a tomb and you find an artifact, you just leave it there. I don't know. Like, yeah, there are conversations to be had about, oh, should the British Museum now return a lot of the things it found? Like, there are conversations you can have there. But honestly, like, how many of them would still be here had they not been discovered and preserved and stuff like that? Like, if you played Tomb Raider, you would know that Lara Croft, when she gets her artifacts, she doesn't, I don't know, she's not like posting them on Instagram or selling them to the highest bidder. She's literally like, I have it, I'm going to protect it, and I'm going to keep it in my house because it's like sacred. Like, this thing can't be destroyed. And if I left it there, then the bad guys were going to get it. I mean, we've already seen when ISIS invaded Baghdad back in like 2012, they blew up a bunch of temples and like old religious sites. Like, they just go full blown, nuke it. And so like, I think there's still a lot that can be done there. But of course, people will crap their pants if you are not like born. If you weren't born in the year 80 and made the artifact yourself, they will crap their pants and say, appropriation. Is Amazon's new Tomb Raider series problematic? Amazon's new Tomb Raider series does good female representation, but it doesn't address the inadequacies of archaeology. I don't know. There's no way this turns
that's
out
pretty
well.
much all it should say at this point.
So this is it, though.
Yeah.
This is what I want to point this out, because I think they're going to make a franchise out of this. Because I was thinking, like, they're not dumb enough to try and put Phoebe Waller-Bush in as the new Bridge, whatever her name is, as the new Indiana Jones. They're not dumb enough to try that. However,
they were at one point. They
are dumb enough to do Lara Croft mom, who has trans children, a la the Sarah Jane Chronicles, and they're adopted though, and they're like trans non-binary kids from South America, and they go around and help her get to the things that people who would sell these things to the black market and otherwise like smuggle them into Hobby Lobby. So they're a family, and they go out and they stop these artifact poachers, I guess is what you would call them. And that's my guess, is that they're going to spy kids this so that she can go around in mom jeans and pretend to be hot and cool and capable while doing nothing at all. And the kids just run around like idiots. That's it.
You just made me think of something way more terrifying and something with precedent. So do you remember the Resident Evil Netflix series? The one with Lance Reddick? Okay. You remember in that series, they gave him 2 daughters, one of whom was adopted. And in the narrative, those 2 daughters, though being raised by Umbrella, eventually grow up to rebel against their father and go, we know what's right. Umbrella is bad. Now that's obviously like, pardon me, a more cartoonish black and white story. Because yes, Umbrella is bad. Like we all know that. That's the entire point of the franchise. But you just made me think, Cider, that they will give Laura kids. Probably one of them will be transgender or non-binary or whatever. But what if they Jake Skywalker her? And it's like our mom, like I can see the trailer now, like, bing, quiet music. Like our mom was a Tomb Raider, but she didn't respect, like she didn't do it. Like she didn't do right by the people or whatever.
It's a doubloon being flicked into the air. It's flicking. Right,
you've got it. You've got exactly what you.
There it is.
The image in her head, and it's like, and then she never.
And she somehow affected female body types and emotional standards of women and stuff like that too. And it's
wait, no, okay, no, I have the most awful scene that I just imagined, and it would play into this trailer perfectly. So you have that opening moment where it's like our mom was a Tomb Raider. She traveled the world, but she never respected the cultures. And that, and then it's like a couple scenes or whatever. And then it introduces them, and it's like, that's why we're here, to put things right or whatever. And you have your montage or whatever. And then that like that stupid stinger joke that all these major studios put in at the very end of trailers nowadays. It would be like one of the daughters picking up a picture and being like, that was mom back in the day. And it's her, like whatever the actress is, dressed as like classic Laura Croft. And the other one goes like, wow, not only did she hurt like archaeology, but she also hurt like body positivity or whatever. And then cling, date, title or whatever.
Wow,
like, that's
who
how
knew
I
our
see it
mom
happening.
was upholding impossible body standards for women?
Like that's what I'm like. There will,
and she's just doing. No, it'll be the picture that everybody loves of Laura, right? The one where she's not even like boobs in it, where it's just clavicle up of her looking at the camera, the gun's by her face, and she's pulling her red sunglasses down. And it'll be that one, and they go, "Oh man, 100%. she's enforcing heteronormativity." Like, oh wow, how lame! And they'll flick it over their shoulder.
That is literally like guys. Not like, first of all, I believe all of this is exactly what's going to happen because it's Phoebe Waller-Bridge and it's Amazon and it's a series focused on like a classic male gamer sex symbol, right? But Cider also has his superpowers, so like I'm positive all of this is going to happen. Again, no hope for this. The second they announced she was a part of it, I don't think anybody outside of weirdo terminally online Phoebe Waller-Bridge stands, of which there are maybe 15, like we're excited for this. The good news is, I saw Leslie point this out. The good news is Phoebe's not playing Laura. That's the good news. The bad news is she's writing and executive producing the series. So this is all
you say that. You say that she's not playing Laura, but I don't buy it. I buy that she's playing Mom Laura, and there might be a Laura Jr., and that might be the joke, is that I'm growing up in my mom's shadow, even though this kid started his life out as Lawrence, and now he's Laura, right?
Oh man, I think even with the transgender angle, like I think,
and then it'll be Tomb Raiders with an S.
Tomb Raiders, yeah, exactly.
It'll be like spray painted on
yes,
Tomb Raiders.
That's exactly what I was doing. Yeah, oh man, I can totally see that. Like happening.
It hurts, doesn't it, Jacob? It just hurts. Because you know I'm right. I was right about Shimu. Remember?
Dude, you've been right about like Shimu was a good one that you got right. What was the other one? There was another one I keep talking about where you were like so on the money. Oh, the Fantastic Four one, which like we all see is what they're doing, that Doctor Doom will be detached from the Four and just made into the villain. Like
obligatory bad guy.
What was the other? You came up with another like no, I think it was I know you've come up with so many, but I think the one I was specifically thinking of was your Shimo one about like,
Yep.
look, it'll be women in chains. And then like, guys, like we had that stream last week, I think, where Cider was like, watch, this is going to be an analogy for like women being enslaved and kept down. And literally like the morning after that stream, I wake up to a tweet that Cider sends and he's like, boom, told you. And it's everybody going like, yeah, this is exactly what it is. This has to be what it is. And I'm just like, you're not allowed to watch anything anymore. Like you're just not allowed to talk because it comes completely true every time. But yeah, this is all Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I don't see how this is going to be positive in any way. I mean, if you, like Josh is pointing out in the chat, if you saw Indy 4, first of all, my condolences. Like I saw it. I know how bad it is. But also, that's just like a preview of what you're going to get. You're going to get the ethical, smart. You're either going to get like the super ethical, I'm the Tomb Raider and I'm here to do like set things right, or you're going to get the smarmy, like I'm the Tomb Raider, I don't need anybody else around me, I'm so cool at doing everything,
I'm the greatest of all time.
That's literally like what, that's all like Phoebe Waller-Bridge really knows how to do. Again, I deign anyone to present one thing she's done
like I said,
that's worthwhile.
It's the indie thing. It's the fact that not only that, you also figured about the fact that she was brought into the James Bond movie, the last James Bond movie, to touch up the script to give a more feminine touch to a James Bond movie.
That.
Yep.
And that last one, that's the one where he dies, right? Like nobody liked that one. That's the one with Lashana Lynch, right?
Oh yeah.
And then
when they were going to make her the new 007, then they got pushed back and they was like, well, she's not going to be like the 007, she'll just be like a 007. And
literally the second time a Phoebe Waller-Bridge attached project did that, because we know that they were doing that for 007 and we know that they were doing that for Indiana Jones. Like they tried to set up, but nobody.
I'm gonna put it even. I'm gonna put even the worst thought in your mind right now. What if they got the actor who's currently playing Doctor Who and they made him James Bond?
They're going like, I hate it because they're gonna like that's who else is a major like international British star.
I would give Idris Elba permission to murder that man if that happened. I would fully I would hand him the gun.
It's got to go to Idris. I don't know why. If you're gonna have to race swap,
well, you've got three that are good. You've got three that are good. Tom Hiddleston could do all right with it. He'd need to work out definitely, and they'd probably need to shoot him at a low angle to give him that imposing look. But he could do it with him. Henry Cavill he could automatically step into it. He's got that killer face. He's got that look. So he's got that one
air of like British sophistication, I guess.
He's an underwear model, so he has that.
Yes, you got it right.
This debonair attitude. You got Henry Cavill, and of course Idris Elba, but there's also Tom Hardy, and I know people complain that Tom Hardy always plays Tom Hardy, but what is 007? There's not much to that character other than I'm always British and half naked. And that's. There you go. That's all he's got to do is be British and half naked, and you got like.
I could see it, but to me, this is just my own opinion on Tom Hardy. Like I feel like Tom Hardy does the Jonathan Majors thing too much, which is like he like squishes up his face to like try and sell emotion, and it bugs the hell out of me. I mean, he does it in Venom to like play things up, but it's a lot of like.
Now here's a twist, okay?
And I'm just
here's a twist. All right. Brace yourself. Now, in the tradition of how British people come over here and play American heroes, how we had Henry Cavill playing Superman, that made me grind my teeth. But the situation is so have that flipped around. Have Jeremy Renner re-enter being a action star playing Bond. Not a whole hell of a lot of stunts he's got to do. By the way, he's just got to kick. That's it.
I think. You would not only get like I think that would be fun. Like I like Jeremy Renner. I know he's not the most not popular is not the right word, but like he's not the biggest box office pull. Yeah, exactly. Like he's kind of a C or B rank actor, but like I like him a lot. I think that
he's old. Never mind.
Yeah, he's pretty old. But I think if they wanted to do that, they would need to capitalize right now, but I think you would get a big marketing push, like a box office push out of being like, Remember how he almost died? Guess what? He's back and he's freaking James Bond. Even if it was just for like one movie, you would get so much promotion mileage out of that.
You could do the Big Boss kind of version of 007 where you've got the two Bonds meeting each other. So retired Bond, like Big Boss style. You've got old man Snake and young Snake meeting each other, right? So you've got like old Jeremy Renner like, oh, you're Bond now. And he's like, you're not British. He's like, oh, they didn't tell you. You know, and you could just see this whole like, you know, really friendly conversation happening at some coffee shop in London, and it's Renner being the veteran Bond explaining things while this guy is, you know, fending off ninjas and judo chopping people, you know? And he's like, no, you do it like this, and you whack him in the shoulder, you know, like Sean Connery was doing in one of those movies.
In Indiana Jones, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, where he's like showing this new Bond how to judo chop properly, and it's this whole like, if I do a good enough job, maybe they'll let me come back and be Bond again, because this kid's too stupid. So it's that kind of like competition. You could have a great time with the usurper Bond from America that nobody talks about, you know?
I like that idea. I know they also they rumored too, or not rumored, but people put his name up, Aaron Taylor Johnson, for like the role of Bond, which I'm not sure on that one, but I will give that he would look the part. Like he's got the stature and like the blue eyes.
You know who they're gonna give it to though?
Tom Holland, like Josh said in the chat.
They're gonna give it to Tom. Yep. And they're gonna make him gay. Cootie Gatwa will be his villain. It'll be great. That'll be his Blowfinger.
Or a black trans lesbian, just like Leslie's saying. Like,
well, that's what the Cootie Gatwa will play. Is a black trans lesbian.
I forgot. That's right. That's right.
He was Blowfinger.
Blowfinger. Or the Shocker, right? Just keep up the Spider-Man theme.
Doctor, ask me twice.
Oh my god. Doctor, don't ask, don't tell. Hey, it's me and HD says, nah, make Zendaya 007. I mean,
see,
they again, like I just feel like they will try at some point, and if they don't actually,
let's make Kiki Palmer 007.
Don't you dare! I knew as soon as I was like, they're gonna do it,
the Kiki verse.
I would be so angry. Like, stop, get her. I don't want her attached to anything. Like, there has never been a more forced like, we should like this person than Keke Palmer. I just don't want anything to do with
We need to find the producer that she's sleeping with and kick his ass because it's his fault.
We need to find the producer she's sleeping with. We need to find whoever keeps like filling her car up with gas to get her to these auditions. Oops. Like, just get everybody out, like, away from her. Just stop giving her roles. Like, just 100%. Oh yeah, and then there's Josh saying, yeah, Renner's pushing 60. Whatever. I mean, Hugh Jackman is like 900 years old.
Like, I mean, so is Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is 60. So
Tom Cruise is like 70, isn't he? Yeah, he's way more than that. Yeah, if Bond was a redhead, for sure the new 007 would be black. Again, like I just feel like it's a matter of time. I think they're letting it all sit so that they can come back and hit it like in a couple years.
It's a good.
What was that one? I missed it. Oh, yeah. I mean,
playing Julie.
Maybe that's a subversion.
Have you guys seen the posters? Have you guys seen the posters for that? It's like
I've seen the.
They look. I get it. They set that poor girl up to fail. They really did. They knew exactly what they were doing when they put this whole thing together. Then they had them face to face, and even I made the comments like, these two look like they're about to box this Saturday on pay-per-view, and you made them the Romeo and Juliet poster. Like, what are we doing?
It's such. I don't understand what they're doing here, but no, like they definitely set that girl up to fail. Like I feel really bad for her. I genuinely feel like somebody had the the progressive insulting mindset of like, let's subvert expectations and find like a non-attractive Juliet. And it's like, why you got to do her like that off the bat? Like, and then you put her up here and you give her all the worst marketing and promos and photos. And it's just like, I'm sorry. Like, this is just, you guys are mean. We're not mean. You're the mean ones.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, right.
Send me that.
That one is so good. I love that one. So
Romeo and Juliet bout. Yes. And she'll still beat his ass.
I mean, Tom's got the like fighter haircut. Like that's the haircut like everybody has in the weigh-ins. Like it's so bad.
Now the thing that would really surprise me, okay, is if this Romeo and Juliet movie is about a giant robot space war. And they just break your neck when you walk in through the theater, right? The whole thing is a lead up, like they're gonna fall in love. They're like some kids in some like space colony or something, right? And then the minute the movie opens up, he's like Amuro Ray murdering a bunch of soldiers and stuff, like
I'll do you one better, because this is supposed to be a play, not a movie. So I want to see the practical stage, like giant Gundam puppet coming out and the smoke machines blowing, and I want to see how you translate that onto the stage.
Well, that's what happened. They took the one down in Yokohama so they could put it up on Broadway.
There you go. That's exactly what they've been doing.
That's what happened.
Long game. The balloon wing that we saw hanging in the mall, that was like a prototype that they're like, we're done with it. We don't need it anymore. Like, you guys can have it. It'll make a nice attraction.
See, that's what they thought. They were like, when Tom Holland is old enough to drive, we will make him into a Gundam pilot. And Japan was like, okay.
Honestly, if you want to cast him for anything, I can see him being a good Amuro. Like,
hey, look, at least he doesn't have to, pretend to have sex with a dude like in his last film that we talked about before.
I was trying to bring up like a reference to that. Like, they just keep doing Tom Holland so dirty. Probably not as dirty as they did in his last role, but outside of Spider-Man, the guy is not having a great career. I mean, not a lot of people are having great careers. So,
speaking of doing people dirty, the whole of Japan is a bit confused today after the trailer for Assassin's Creed Shadow dropped, and our friends in the East don't quite understand what's going on.
They are not happy about this news. So, this is just a whole story and a half that we will probably spend the rest of the night talking about, or at least a good chunk of it, because this is like classic Ubisoft neoliberal message pushing. Like, it is so completely stupid. So, for those of you who haven't heard the news, Ubisoft has officially unveiled their next Assassin's Creed game. And after years of fans demanding it, because it just works so well with the story and everything that's going on, they finally decided, hey, this entry, it's going to be in feudal Japan. You're going to be fighting in the Sengoku era. You're going to be hanging out during the Hamon-Iji incident, like all that like fun stuff. However, rather than focusing the title on a Japanese person, like a Japanese male, so this time around we have two protagonists, which the games have been doing for a little bit, but this is different because the past games that you've been able to pick like your protagonists, so like Origins, Valhalla, that stuff, it was a very lazy, like, choose your gender and then it doesn't really affect the story. This one is you have two separate characters who you have to like keep switching between to do the narrative, and you have a Japanese female ninja named Naoi, and then you have an African black samurai named Yasuke. Now, a lot of you people might know about Yasuke because he's a historical figure who is regularly like brought up in these discussions about representation and history, because a lot of people cite him as the first black samurai, but there's no proof that that's what actually happened. So who Yasuke is, just for anybody who doesn't know, back in the Sengoku era, a Jesuit missionary came to Japan to do his, missionary work. And in his company was Yasuke. At the time, that wasn't his name. He had like an Italian name, and he was like, his worker. He was in his service. One day, the missionary had a meeting with Oda Nobunaga, like the very famous warlord, like the very famous historical Japanese figure. In that meeting, Oda was completely blown away by Yasuke, but not because he was some, crazy warrior with unknown skills, but because his skin was black. Oda was literally like, I've never seen a black guy before. What the hell is this? And, he had his attendants like try to scrub his skin. And it's very much like you see this in like animated movies or movies all the time. Like, what is this thing? Like, it's so crazy. Let me play with it. That's how he treated him. And because of that, he, between his like amusement with his skin color and eventually they developed a friendship, Oda eventually was like, hey, would you mind? He went to the missionary and said, would you mind, can I have him? Can I take him? Like, can I have him in my service? And as a sign of goodwill,
can this be mine now?
That's literally what it was. And then the missionary was like, okay, yeah, he's yours now. Like they just said, yeah, have him. And it was like Pokemon almost, except that Oda got to rename him. He didn't have the trade block on it, but he renamed him to Yasuke and he made him a retainer. So in Japan, in like old Japanese society, feudal Japanese society, the retainers are essentially like the bat boy for a samurai. They have prestige, they have money, they can sometimes be allotted property by their masters, but they're little more than, yeah, you carry his swords into battle, you carry his stuff around for him. Eventually Yasuke got promoted to like a page boy, essentially, which is like he was like an official messenger, but at no point was he ever an actual samurai, despite what everybody tries to say. You know, he was not a samurai. A lot of people try to point to him getting the being made a retainer and getting like land and a title as, oh, look, he was a samurai, but he wasn't. He was basically just a worker. And there's only one recorded instance of him ever being in a fight, and that is in the incident where Nobunaga was eventually killed. After he was killed and everything was going crazy and there were like riots and rebellions happening all across the city, Yasuke ran to the house of Oda's son and was like, I'm going to stand in defense of him. I'm going to, you know, protect my master's family. And, you know, he got a sword. He was fighting off a bunch of people and he would have lost the fight. But eventually one of the enemy's men stepped in and was like, okay, put down your sword. I captured you. Like, you have nothing to do. Like, come with us. So he brings them to their leader and they ask, what do we want to do with him? And their leader essentially goes, he's black. He's an animal. He doesn't know what he's doing. He just picked up a sharp thing and started swinging it. Let it, like, go put him in prison. You don't need to kill him. And thus was the end of Yasuke's story. Like, he disappears from the record after that. So that is like the interpretation that they are basing this game on. And they're going, again, if you watch the trailer or you read the leaks, Yasuke is presented as a slave. Like, this is how his story starts, apparently. He starts out on a slave ship. It gets boarded by pirates. The ship gets destroyed and he is left for dead. He floats to the Japanese coast. He's discovered by like monks. And then he's taught the way of the samurai by the monks. And then because he's such a cool warrior, Oda eventually is like, come fight for me. Not what happened at all. Very, very fictionalized. But that's the narrative they are going with. Again, it's an attempt to push that historical revisionism, especially because this is breaking from Assassin's Creed tradition, because most games outside of, I believe, Black Flag and one of, I think, Brotherhood, maybe, all of the protagonists in an Assassin's Creed game hail from the nation that it's taking place in, right? Like the one that takes place in Egypt, you had an Egyptian assassin. Mirage took place in like Baghdad, you had a Baghdad assassin. The Syndicate took place in England, you had English assassins. Ragnarok took place in the Norselands, you had a Norse assassin. Now you have a Japanese set Assassin's Creed and you get a black protagonist. Like, it is very, very just too on the nose, too very pointed, too very obvious at what's happening. We also I don't have all the details organized yet, but Peter Pischke, I know I brought him up a little while ago. He just wrote or he just had a scoop about the game, and apparently the game, like, this was not the original pitch for a Japanese Assassin's Creed. Apparently a former contractor made a whole pitch for a Japanese set Assassin's Creed, and they ignored it in favor of like this super progressive messaging that they want to do. So that's what we're getting out of Ubisoft next. And I don't know if you have any of the examples up, Cider, but if you guys go look at Japanese Twitter in response to this, they are confused. They're pissed. They like do not understand. And again, while there's probably some angle of racism, because that's how the Asians are, a lot of it is just like, why are you disrespecting us? Why is it that when it comes to Asia, when you finally do your first Assassin's Creed in Asia proper, the protagonist has to be race swapped? Why couldn't it have been a Japanese person? Like, and so to that end, it is just so, I walk away from this going like, of course they did. It's an Asian, like, you can't have Asian characters anymore. You can't have like we're a demographic that doesn't matter. Again, I love to bring this up, and it's almost June, so I think this is technically the Stop Appy Hate Month. But remember, they started that stupid campaign on social media, stop Asian American Pacific Islander hate, no hate here, stop it. And that was in response to all these Asian people getting attacked in like New York and San Francisco. But once they found out who the perpetrators were, and they happened to be a lot of Black individuals, that campaign gone. Like, again, Asians rank barely, or they're not even above or below. Like, we are on the same level in this progressive diagram as white people. So they will go to any extent they can to just shut us out of conversations, shut us out of our own media. I mean, we've seen, I bring this up a lot if you follow me on Twitter, but the Western entertainment industry straight up hates Asia. And at this point, I don't know how you can look at it and not think that. I mean, you have all, but between the revelation that JRPG was a term coined to sort of, other Japanese RPGs from Western RPGs, to the constant attacks we see against Japanese games while Western games get the same pass. Again, Stellar Blade versus Baldur's Gate 3. We all saw how that went down. The constant overwriting of localized like video games, comic books, all that stuff. Again, what other you don't get this stuff from books or movies or I mean like real prestige movies, right? Like Parasite or whatever. But when it comes to like entertainment or video games, it's completely okay to overwrite an original Japanese or an original Asian creator's vision because they don't know any better. We need to teach them. They're so uncultured. I mean, look at any debate on Twitter, you automatically get if somebody goes, oh, Japan is a nice place, you get well, why is there, what about their age of consent being so low? And it's like, that was one place that they didn't enforce. And you're just like you just are looking for reasons to denigrate this country or these peoples. And obviously there's part of it is envy. It has to be, because their games are just way better. And the other part is that they know, the Western developers know that they just can't hold a candle to them. So what other way do you have to promote your work than by tearing people down? Right. So I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the thing that's a bit irritating about this is that this person kind of talks about this here. They mentioned that it's stinky in their opinion that Yasuke is depicted as a samurai. Now, we here in the US, we don't like to respect, for whatever reason, as you say, for whatever reason, China, we will respect their imagery, their culture. When it comes to the Japanese, we are just very happy to slap their heritage onto anything. Nitro Ninja, samurai guy. We've got all, we just toss, no problem. But you're not going to find Chinaman. I assure you, you're not going to find Chinaman out there. But,
we might be able to. It probably got made in the 30s, but we can
Super Chinaman.
Super Chinaman. There we go.
But see, this is the thing: is that like for Japan, the samurai are this story in and of itself is a home in Japan, because the Templar are sort of in the role of the samurai that the ninja were, and the assassins are the ninja. If you don't know, in this time period, in particular in feudal Japan, the samurai were particularly abusive toward the peasantry. They would extort money out of them. They abused their land rights. They would ask for virgin daughters in order to marry them or polygamize with. This is a lot of the stuff you see in anime that's set in feudal Japan that's really ugly, pretty close to what happened. I mean, not like dog demons
it's not Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer is not what feudal Japan was like. No. It was more like Berserk.
Yeah, it was pretty close, but maybe not with like hell on earth, but pretty close.
Yeah.
And I think Ninja Scroll also kind of does a Rurouni Kenshin's also semi kind of representative of the time.
Rurouni does it well, yeah.
Yeah, Samurai X if you're a purist. But the situation is that we don't respect that over here, We go ahead and we just, like paint on samurai and ninja. Meanwhile, this is the Revolutionary War for Japanese. The ninja fought a war to reclaim the right of the peasantry to just exist free of torture and extortion. This is what they did. They didn't fight it because they were like, I don't like those guys in their armor. I want to wear my pajamas, and I want to fight him with my pajamas and my farming equipment. That's what I'm gonna do. Here's a sword. I'm gonna make a kunai out of a hoe. And that wasn't what happened. They only had what they had because then the samurai were stripping them of everything they had on top of that. So the only metal they had to work with to make a weapon out of was a trowel. Ta-da! There's your kunai. That's where that comes from. But here we are. We're just like, nah. Screw your history. Screw your history. We made a black lady Queen Elizabeth or whatever, Queen Victoria, whatever we did with her. We'll make a black guy a samurai. Who doesn't matter to your culture whatsoever. Not only that, we're going to take a historical black guy who you guys are even confused about what the hell he's doing in your history books to begin with, and we're going to make him a superstar and shame you for not enjoying it.
That's literally what I was going to bring up, Cider, because I realized I hadn't mentioned it. But this is the first time an Assassin's Creed game lets you puts you in the shoes of an actual historical figure. Like, we've obviously the Assassin's Creed games, you run into like historical figures from like Leonardo da Vinci to like I don't even know who else you run into. Oh, I think you run into like Tesla at one point and Syndicate. Like you run into them, but you're never playing them. So what we're seeing here is like historical revisionism, essentially going like it's just so weird that they I don't even obviously like I'm clearly tripping over my own words and I don't really have the thoughts assembled yet, but it's like it's clear that there's more to this than just like we wanted to tell like a black character story. Like they're taking this historical figure and going, we can use him to prove against like all those people who love Japan or whatever that it was actually a bastion of diversity. And it's just like it again, like sort of what I was saying at the beginning of the topic, like it's just so forced. It is so blatant at what you guys are doing, because like Mitch Ryan points it out, and this is a really common refrain that is leveled in these discussions about like race swapping or historical accuracy. Like, where's the story about a sub-Saharan African warrior? Where's the Zulu based video game? Like, you don't have all those. You have to go to another culture and say, you guys like this, mine now. Oh no, this is totally all like this has to be ours now. I mean, right. Like with Yasuke in particular, a couple years ago, like 2020, 2019, CNN, MSN, all these outlets started running stories about like, haha, guess what? Japan was diverse. They had a black samurai, but they all leave out so much information regarding that. The fact that there's really no record of Yasuke existing. What I went over, the fact that what is known, like just to break down the recap I gave, is that he was under the employ of a Jesuit missionary. That's how he got to Japan. Oda thought he was like a curiosity because of his skin color. Oda made him a retainer, and he survived Oda's death during the Japanese Civil War that
because of racism.
Right. And that's what they say all the time. It's like, oh, or rather, never mind. I know what you're saying. Yeah, he survived that Civil War because of racism.
Exactly.
Like that's the only way he got. Yep. That's the only reason he got out.
Because the Japanese were so dismissive of everyone who is not Japanese. That is how he ended up probably expiring in prison rather than at the tip of a blade.
And that's why, like, now that you said, like, I just had this like realization that that's probably how the game is going to end, with him like being.
No, he'll escape prison and marry a Japanese woman and have a child in the countryside, and that's how the descendant that's using the animus chair to go back is contacting him.
See, yeah, no, I think you totally hit the nail on the head there. I've lost my train of thought on what my
it's okay, but let me enter this.
Like, yours is way better.
Let me enter this into this. Alpha Omega for $2 here says Western lefties despise Japan. Pure vitriolic hate, and you're absolutely right. Because let me give you this example. What's more logical? A guy in the future who may or may not be black, or a woman in the future who may or may not be black, going back in time and inhabiting the body of a black samurai, regalia and all, and with title and with due honor, right? What's more likely? Or a black man in the future, right? Going into the animus chair and then going back and being one of Nobunaga's men as a Japanese man. That makes a hell of a lot more sense to me as to how DNA works and how the country worked and how the whole premise of this franchise works. How the hell did what was his name? Derek? Who was the main character?
Oh, what was that first guy? Desmond.
How did Desmond go all the way back and become Ezio? Desmond's like from Middle America. He's not. He's in Canada. I think he's.
I didn't even realize. Like, what are the odds that this guy happens to be related to the one black samurai that was existent or whatever? Like,
it makes way more sense to have a guy in the present and like, hey man, my past ancestor was one of Nobunaga's generals, and that makes way more sense. And he gets to go back and be like, that's weird. I'm cool. It's weird, but it's cool. You know, and there you go. That's it. It's over with. One line of dialogue. That's weird. It's cool though.
But without this protagonist decision, what will Alyssa Mercante write her clickbait articles on? She
exactly. People hate history because it's black. It's samurais were blacker than you ever knew.
Like you Cider just referenced, and I referenced this a little earlier. Like that idea that Yasuke was like an actual samurai and fighting around everywhere, like that is an idea that has been picked up by pop culture, and it's one of those ones that's been regurgitated so much that way too many people believe it, and this is only going to serve to make that discussion worse. Like I've already seen people going, oh look, Yasuke is like, he was a samurai, blah blah blah, citing nothing except for like CNN think pieces, right? I went looking last night when I was writing the article about the leaks. I went looking for any like historical image of Yasuke possible, any historical note of him that I could just use as an image. I went to Wikimedia. There's nothing except there's now a photo uploaded and accepted to Wikimedia of a fully black family in Japan that they're claiming is Yasuke. And I'm like, that's not
what? Where did
what's this?
Who took the picture?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand. Like, I am almost positive that like
some dark brown shit, man.
Like this photo that I'm gonna shoot it over in the back end so you can show everyone. But like they're trying to claim like, oh look, this is Yasuke, this is a black man, and I'm like, that is that's very clearly like there are dark-skinned Japanese people. We see them all the time. There's a specific name for that like subgroup, and I can't remember their name, but we see Asians with like really dark skin and afros all the time. So there's and this photo was uploaded and accepted. It has no citation on where it came from. It was uploaded this year, literally a month ago in April 17th, and it says nothing.
Where's his dreads?
1550s.
But where's his dreads?
Stop. It's the 1550s when this asshole was alive. Cameras did not exist.
That's what I'm saying.
This is not real.
It's not him. I don't know who it is, but
unless he's fucking immortal.
I'd play that game. Let me play that game.
Immortal vampire black samurai survives the fall of Nobunaga's
dynasty.
Man,
you don't know that there was somebody on the other side, like pushing the pedals like a bicycle, waiting for a flash to go off, like the size of Montana, to take that picture.
Just everybody's permanently blinded. Their eyelids are sealed shut from the gunpowder going off in their face.
Yeah, like that's what they're citing now, and they're like throwing this photo around, and I'm like, you guys don't know.
So is the girl on the right supposed to be Japanese too? Because
they claim she's black. I don't know what they want from her, and I'm like, it's clear that she's Japanese, and it's just a dark photo. Like this is not.
I guarantee you, 2 years from now, there'll be like some article from some like gateway pundit website that nobody trusts that talks about this being taken down and proven being AI generated.
That's what, let's see. Mitch Ryan brought that up. DZ3 brought that up. Obviously, you brought it up and you know AI. My reaction to this photo was, this has to be AI. There's no way, like it doesn't feel right. It feels like it's
1500s.
Perfect.
There's no way it can be real.
Yeah, there's no way this is real. I think we've talked about this before, and again, this is a Ciderism, and it stuck with me like ever since you brought it up.
Guys, that's before the Revolutionary War by 200 fucking years. Okay, if they were going to take pictures of anybody, it would have been the assholes that overturned the largest empire on Earth.
You know,
okay,
for the record, we don't have a photo of the founding fathers making the United States signing the Independence, the Declaration of Independence. Like no
like
photos
John
of
Hancock, like throwing gang signs next to the Declaration. You know,
he's like, "Screw you, Britain." It's like it doesn't exist.
That's not there.
Like that's a really good point. Like, there all the photos we have of even the revolution, or photos we have of like the Boston Tea Party or the Boston Massacre or stuff. Like,
even the trees don't look real. Like, look at the
no, they don't. So. And that's what I was saying. Like, Cider brought it up way before we were talking about the new Sora AI. How like when you look at AI art, the giveaway is like if you look in the eyes, there's no emotion there. For some reason, we can connect with the eyes. But here it's too low, it's too low res. Nobody like they did their work. I mean, now that I look at it a little more, both of their eyes look kind of messed up.
Look at the windows on the top of the castle.
Yeah, those don't look right. Castles didn't have windows like that. Wait a second.
Correct. Why the hell is the attic open like that? What's going on?
Yeah, I just had to do a take back, and I'm like, wait a second. They didn't have like open up windows like the West did. Those weren't invented until like the 1700s.
So the first Black Samurai, did he give out like inward passes? Was that like a thing back then too, or like?
That's why all those Japanese YouTubers say it all the time, because he gave them the pass. That's why they have that word in their vocabulary.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm kind of surprised he didn't just start playing like DMX in the trailer like they do like every other thing. It's like, hey, this is all about black people. Hey, let's go give it to you.
Dude, give it like so. I bet you that's what's going to happen, because there's always like the first reveal trailer is always like that cinematic, like we got here, where it's like, whoa, it's here. Then you get like a second trailer or like a gameplay trailer, and that's where they throw in like the modern song to footage. I hate that I'm about to say this, Jacob, and because I guarantee the first trailer we see of like gameplay or whatever for this game will be set to Not Like Us from Kendrick. Like, it's going to be that. Like, that's how on the nose this is going to be. It's going to be so stupid. I like just do not want it.
The thing that you got to remember too is that people are going to rip the character models out of this, right? So I can't wait for someone to take Song of the South, run it through one of those AIs that turns it into a Japanese singer. And you've got Yasuke with his sword over his shoulder, right? And he's going yip zippity doo dah zippity day in Japanese, walking down a path, and like birds are going. It's a whole opening from the Song of the South, but it's just Yasuke.
That would be incredible.
Doing it. It's gonna happen, you know. It's pure Japanese. Is what they're gonna make it do. Great.
That's incredible. I kind of actually want that. Really, you need to do that when it happens.
Yeah, sure. I'll find a guy on Fiverr. Yeah,
exactly. We'll go to Fiverr, and then people are pointing out, like, look at her hands, look at his eyes. Yeah, this has to be AI. I would put money that this is AI, but this is sort of that cultural deception you're seeing out of the West. Like, this is on Wikimedia Commons. This is where people are supposed to go.
I know people that will look at this and think it's real. 100%.
Exactly.
They will 100%. Go. It makes perfect sense that an
people are going to argue on Twitter for the next several weeks, and they're going to use this. You're going to use this photo as evidence to support their point.
Yep.
100,000%, and like that, and that's what I was sort of getting at with like this being uploaded to Wikimedia. Like, this is sort of like that instance. Like, we're supposed to have some a service or site like Wikipedia or Wikimedia is supposed to operate on some level of trust. Now, I know with Wikipedia, they have all their ideological editors, and it's a little more rough to get good info out of that. For more proof of that, go look at the battle that's happening over the Yasuke article right now. A bunch of ideologues are trying to put in like, yeah, he was a samurai. He was totally a samurai, blah, blah, blah. And there's like one guy going, there are no sources. What the fuck are you doing? Like, you can't just say things. Like, it's a pretty, as intense as a message board battle can be, it's pretty intense. But
so,
yeah, go ahead.
This was uploaded on the 18th. That's weird. How did that happen? That's the future.
7th. Yeah, April. Whoa, wait a minute.
No, April. We're in May. So this is roughly a month ago. I'm sorry, I'm stoned. But so hold on. Let's assume that Rodrigo 66666 might be somebody that got. Well, hold on. Might be somebody that got a hold of game assets. And like I said, no, he got out of prison. Let's say Yasuke got out of prison at the end of the game, right? And this is the final piece of the end of the game where
like
the
Tali shot
descendant,
from Mass Effect, yeah.
Well, yeah, the descendant's holding a picture in his hand, and this is the game asset that they generated as he holds up the picture, and he says, "Oh, so he did survive." You know, and you find like a very rusty stone wooden box under a shrine in Japan,
right?
And it's got this picture in it and that kind of thing, and this could be an asset from the game itself, and that's why it's there and why it's associated with him and why Wikipedia is not taking it down.
Pardon me. That's actually I didn't even think about that. I mean, the guy, like, if you look at the summary on its, like, if you click on it, you look at the page, the source is himself. So
right,
maybe quite possibly it could be a game asset. Like, I actually wouldn't be surprised by that at this point.
Yeah. So that's my guess, and that's why Wikipedia is letting it stay up as opposed to forcing a context on it to say that it's not real or whatever. Because by put timeline together, you could tell it's not real. But yeah, this is probably a game asset that is like, oh, okay, that's why she looks like Japanese Nicki Minaj. Okay, cool.
Speaking of it being a game asset and like how stupid it is, Josh brings up a really good point, and I can't believe none of us like landed on it like right away. Where were you? Yeah, never seen a samurai. Oh, I think we both hit it. Never seen a samurai carry a sword on his back. Yeah, that isn't how they do it. That's a very like pop culture Western sword thing. You can't pull here on your side. Yeah, exactly. I think the only person I can think of that does it behind the back is Leonardo from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
But it defies physics is the thing. Is that you can't, they had there's a YouTube channel, I think it was Shadiversity even, that may have done this, where they did a sheath that opens on one side that has a magnet to hold the blade in place so it won't flop out while you're walking, right? So the blunt side of the blade has a magnet it locks into, and the opposite side where you're pulling from is completely open. So when you pull it, there's nothing resisting the sword leaving the sheath. But the sheath is more like a book cover than it is a sheath, you know?
I like that idea.
But that's the best they could do with that. You can't, there's no way to pull the sword off your back. It looks really neat in an anime, but like, this is it, guys. This is the limit of where you can pull that. It's done. You got to pull it down and to the side. You got to hold on. Because you got to remember, these things...
You have to do that angle, too. You can't, like, curve it or anything, because it's supposed to be, like, strapped to you and, like, hold... Oh, he's going for the props. We're going to get a proper example.
See, I thought it was, like, something like, I don't know, maybe like a Dragon Ball Z Digimon type thing, where you could just, like, dig into the multiverse or something like that, and then just pull a sword out of your arm.
Pull it out, and, like, here it is now. I would
just ripped it out of the ether.
Yeah, like, that's... I would love that. Oh, we have confirmation from Alpha Omega. It's not a game asset. Black supremacists were passing that around last year on social media. Boom, there we go. So like that is sort of what I was getting at, is that now that this is on Wikimedia, people trust Wikimedia. They'll look at it and go, this is real. Take it away, Cider.
While you were turning everything into woke, I was studying the blade. So this is it. Now I'm going to show you. Like, look, I'm 5'7", okay? So this is
line.
Bear in mind, this is what it is. Like, this is what it is. It's on your back. So you pull this out. That's how much has to clear your shoulder. This is the maximum length that makes it past your shoulder before you run out of rotation room in your rotor cuff over here. Okay? You can't draw from the shoulder. There's no way to do it. And that's just how it works.
I don't like the fact that Cider gets to like show off his cool swords while we're on the stream. If I pull out my Glock right now and show you how to like upload it, all of a sudden,
that'll be the end of the stream.
YouTube. Yep.
Look,
hey guys, check out our non-striked channel.
Yeah, right. Seriously.
Yeah, coming soon. Bounding in the guns. We're gonna just like show off all of our firearms.
I've got them right there, and then Cider, and then at the end of every show, Cider will do a demonstration by cutting all the bullets from our guns in half while we shoot at him. Nothing will go wrong there.
Right. I will cut the blade in half as Jacob is shooting at me. It's great. Just head on.
One take.
Final episode. Yeah, one take,
no
final
practice.
episode. Have fun, guys.
Exactly. One take, final episode. Yep.
I like what Essential said here. Song of the Shogi. I love that. Yeah. The technical difficulties.
Last thing you hear is Sonic go, "Oh fuck!"
Oh man, have you ever seen? This is so unrelated, but it's like that. Like because it's a video of somebody doing something dumb. Did you see the video that was going around at like the beginning of the year of the dude who like was on Twitch and he stabbed a toaster that was plugged in on purpose?
Oh yeah.
And it like blasts him back. Yeah, it blasts him back. The camera messes up because all the electronics go haywire. But the last frame you see is like he's here, he's back. He's on the bed with his legs up with a giant brown spot because he crapped himself. And then the feed just like goes dead. And I'm like, that's exactly what's going to happen to us.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's.
I wanted to point something
I
out.
Didn't realize that. Yeah.
Remember when they did this? They did not make the Egyptian assassin any other racial descendants other than Egyptian.
Nope.
Didn't do that.
Literally. Again, that's what I was saying. Like there's only 2 games where they're not native to where it's taking place, and that's crazy. Oh, hell yeah, the Barbarella movie. Jacob, I presume you want to take this one?
Yeah, so we kind of talked about this a little bit last night, but obviously I wanted to bring this up since Cider is here. Now, Cider, if you guys don't know, if you haven't watched the show long enough, is a massive fan of the original Barbarella movie, which I believe was 68, if I'm not mistaken, when it came out. So over the last couple of years, there's been rumors and talks that Sydney Sweeney, Hollywood's new It girl, is going to be the new Barbarella in the film in the future. Now, of course, from face value, all the men out there are excited. It's like, oh my god, we're getting a Barbarella movie with Sydney Sweeney. This is going to be amazing. And my immediate reaction is, wait until we see who the actual creative team behind this film actually is before you get excited. And now it looks like we seem to know, at least in talks, it's not official yet, but in talks, who these individuals are going to be. So the it looks like Edgar Wright, who is going to be directing and co-writing this film, is going to be at least somewhat involved in the writing stage. He's the guy that they're going after. I asked this question last night. I'll shoot this one over to you guys. Outside of the Simon Pegg and Nick Frost films, has Edgar Wright done anything that you guys have actually enjoyed?
No, not even really those.
I like Scott Pilgrim. That's the only one I would really say like I super like. I like the opening scene in Baby Driver. That's about it. Like the one shot like whole crazy car thing. Like I think that's a really cool shot. Yeah. Then the movie goes to crap. But then what was that? Then he did like I know he was attached to Ant-Man for a little bit. No, that wasn't him. That was somebody else. But what he did some like feminist fighting movie or something like a year or 2 ago. Jacob, you got to know what I'm talking about. Like it was really bad. Edgar Wright, he did some like I don't remember the title.
Was that Gunpowder Milkshake or was that in another film?
No, that's somebody else. But it's like I remember the logo had like neon like signs, and it was about like a woman who went, what Last Night in Soho? Is that what it's called?
Oh yeah. That's the second time in a row I forgot about. I've tried to block that movie out of my memory so many times, but yeah, no, that was absolutely abhorrent.
I genuinely forgot.
And we talked about specifically why I did like just a quick little recap. It's a movie about a girl who supposedly goes back in time to find like whoever killed like this woman who existed back then. Come to find out, the woman got turned out as a prostitute because she tried to sleep her way to the top, and then as revenge, she started killing her Johns. And at the very end of the movie gives this very, very forced moral message of, well, actually, she was the real victim the whole time. So all those people that she murdered, they probably desered it. And then it's like literally the film ends.
So bad. It was so bad. Again, like I was so disappointed because, like, I'll admit, I liked, like you said, like I liked the Nick Pegg or the Simon Pegg, Nick Frost stuff that he did. Obviously, Spaced was part of that. Then the 3 Cornetto movies. I liked Scott Pilgrim a lot. Like I will stand on that like forever. That's just my own taste. So after that movie, I was like, I am an Edgar Wright fan because he's done all this great stuff. Scott Pilgrim's good. Let's see what he does. Then they were like, oh, he's going to do Ant-Man, but he's not going to do it anymore. And I was like, that's such a bummer. That would have been so cool. And then we got Baby Driver, and I was like, that's cool, but there's not a lot there. And then we got last night in Soho, where I'm like, that premise, when they were like marketing it, I'm like, that sounds cool. Like time travel mystery thing.
And like, here's the thing, that movie isn't even like terrible. Like, it's an absolute bad movie. The ending absolutely destroys that film. Like, it just destroys it.
Like, you are on, because like I've watched it too. Jacob's obviously watched it. Like, you watch it, it's good up until literally she realizes that the killer was good. There's there is a moment, if you watch that movie, that's almost like a literal like light switch, where you see her like,
it's like literally the ghost of the people who she murdered is like crying out for help, and then she just has this moment of realization. It's like, oh, you guys deserve it. That's what you get for trying to have sex with prostitutes. Now enjoy your long suffering death.
That is literally her turn. It's literally like, oh, I was going to go solve this murder for you, but oh, you guys wanted prostitutes? Yeah, screw you guys. You deserved it. And it's just like,
so. One of the things about this, though, is that the two writer team, whatever, that he's attached to this, or look attached to this.
No, it's actually 3. So the third person isn't featured in this picture, so I'll get to this here in a second. First of all, when you have 3 writers in a movie, you're already off to a terrible start. I'm just throwing that out here first. But so he's going to be co-writing this film. Jane Goldman, who's the woman in the center here, is also going to be a writer for this movie. Now, she has worked with numerous films with Matthew Vaughn. So she's been involved in like, some of the X-Men films, Kingsman she's been involved with as well. So anything that Matthew Vaughn has been associated with, she's probably been associated with it too. So that's how she has her claim to fame. The third person in this trio here is called Honey Ross. Now, I was told that this individual was a writer, even though I've never heard of this person like ever in my life, but she's also attached to this. Come to find out that she is the daughter of Jonathan Ross, which I guess is a big name over in the UK. Some of you people in the US probably have never heard of him, but she is quite literally someone who claims to be a screenwriter, even though you can't even find her IMDb page. You can't even find her IMDb page like at all anywhere. And she's supposed to be the co-writer there. She is a body positivity activist who goes on telling healthy people that they have like healthy privilege or some nonsense like this. And then this is just like her content with like her and her dad. It's painfully boring.
The cheekbones in Noel Fielding. It's Tilda Swinton.
I want them to have a cheek off.
Did I tell you about the time I suffered a minor injury from Tilda Swinton's cheekbones?
Oh my God, I'm so jealous. What did her bones do to you?
It was one of the years I was hosting BAFTA, and she came out to give me a hug afterwards, and then in and did a firm face press against mine. And I'm telling you, the cheek caused great pain on my.
How does that work? Where does that exactly come from? It doesn't make any sense.
Make it stop!
So yes, for the record, as it stands right now, Edgar Wright, the other woman who worked on the Matthew Vaughn movies, and this woman is your creative trio for the Sydney Sweeney Barbarella movie. So now that I've laid that all out for you, Cider, now what is your thoughts about the Barbarella remake that will probably come out in the next 2 to 3 years? And he's left. So that's pretty much it. That's all.
that is your review of what.
I hate every aspect of this. You see, what made Barbarella great for me is that it's terrible. It is an absolutely wall-to-wall dumb movie. She rides around in a spaceship with wall to floor to ceiling shag carpet. She sleeps on saran wrap. She communicates through a statue that extends its arm, and a half-naked man appears in a portal in there and says, "Love." It's ridiculous. It is the most. She gets through the movie by literally having sex with any obstacle she meets. It's not. It's the dumbest thing. But that's why I love it. It's so they don't show you anything. They do the whole implication. Everybody's having a cigarette afterwards. She's singing, rubbing furs on herself. She's got a feather from the blind angel. Okay, I won't spoil it for you. But
but here's my fear.
That's gonna be great.
But here's my fear, and this is what I was thinking of too, because obviously guys are looking at this from like the male gazy like type aspect of, oh, we just get to see a hot chick with big boobs in a movie, and this would be amazing. This I'll be watching the part alone, right? And then I'm sitting here thinking to the fact you have to look at this too. Over the last that film, ever since it came out, like 50 years ago or 60 years ago, how long it's been, like. It has been an ire for a whole bunch of feminists because it's like, oh, that you're playing up to the male gaze and this is exploitative and blah blah blah. And they've literally just been whining about this film nonstop. Now you're literally giving feminists the keys to the franchise and be like, okay, now we get to remake this movie, but we get to do it in our image. So this is going to be a Barbarella movie made by feminists.
Well, I want to point out too that Edgar Wright specializes in movies about outsiders, downtrodden, punkish type of people, criminals, the type of people that you wouldn't ordinarily leave in charge of your children. Okay. Barbarella is a hapless, blonde to the bone idiot, like scratch and sniff at the bottom of the pool and drown dumbass flying through space. Okay. If not for her vagina, she would have likely have been eaten in a not fun way by now. So the situation of having these big brains, these galaxy brains, these feminists involved with it, and Edgar Wright piled on top of it, is you've got a group of people who are now totally, their careers are built on the subversion of expectation. Their careers are built on subverting the norm. Their careers are that mall rat kind of, static storytelling about someone's pointless life. And they're going to be in charge of an interstellar sex magnate that really can't explain her way out of a paper bag. I don't think that you're going to get this movie. I think you're going to get a fan fiction where, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Barbarella is like listening to, what's that song from Captain Marvel? I'm Just a Girl.
Oh, yeah.
And she's shooting aliens with it. She's just like, like one-shotting him, like, pew, 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 and I'm Just a Girl is up playing all over. But you'll notice there'll be like the most minimal, it'll be like a Power Girl boob window, and that'll be it. There won't be any skin-tight clothing. It'll be like armor, and all but for this one little cleavagey hole.
And that will be there, like, so, like, that, I think you're right, because here's my take on this entire thing. First of all, nobody on that list really like inspires me in any confidence that they're going to do a good Barbarella movie, because like Cider was saying, Barbarella is supposed to be a little campy, a little ridiculous, a little over the top. Yeah, a lot. Yeah, let's be fair. A lot campy, a lot ridiculous, a lot over the top. So the second you don't want to do that, the second you try to err away from that, you start getting away from like the identity of it. It's again, it's that line I say about like, we all have that friend who goes, wrestling is fake. It's like, we all know that Barbarella is a little ridiculous. We all know that her costume is a little absurd, but that's the fun of it. We're all in on the joke and the theme, and we take that ride with it. And like what Cider is saying about the subversion, it's completely true.
Hello?
Did Spencer just like crash and burn on us?
It would appear that Arizona has been nuked from orbit.
I'll say this because now that he's back.
Oh, he's back.
No, I mean you just kind of like froze there for like a good like
I had no
5
idea. I had no idea that I
for a minute there.
Wow, no, I had no idea that anything went wrong. But like the second you start taking this concept seriously and you start trying to make it prestige, you start losing the identity of what Barbarella is, and that's not what fans of this are going to want. But to what Cider said, these people who are in charge of Hollywood nowadays, they're all obsessed with subverting your expectations, but for a specific reason, and that's to establish themselves in the zeitgeist. They want their names known. They want to be like Alan Moore to like comic books. Like they want to take the thing they get and do a Watchmen to it and go so subversive that everybody goes, oh man, never looked at it this way. It's got to change everything.
Well, this is the thing. You're bringing in a creative brain trust who probably hates the source material that they're writing for, and they're coming into it. It's like, oh, the original was bad, and now we're going to change it to make it better. So you're coming in with that mindset. It's like it's already over. There's nothing more you can do. Like you can put what's her name, Sydney Sweeney's boobs all over this movie, and try to blind people and distract people away from the fact that this movie is going to absolutely be complete dog shit. But it's still going to be dog shit at the end of the day. So that's all you're really doing is providing a distraction. And but by the way, just real quick, I found another Instagram photo of this Honey Ross, a co-writer for this film, allegedly. And it's so bad, I'm just gonna put it in the private chat. Because I don't think we can show that on stream. I don't think we want to do that to our loyal viewers.
Oh no, we can't show that. No.
Oh, yeah. That's disappointing. That's
bad.
That's sad. Here, I'll take the hit from my personal YouTube account. If you guys want to see what we're talking about, I'm sharing the link in the chat. We won't show it on screen, but yeah, that ain't great. That's fun. That's fun. I'll say that.
And that's like, the woman who's in charge of this film.
And
everything's great.
Like for me, think about all of the like times we've heard creators go, "Oh, we're going to use this to tell a deeper story. We could tell more. Make it more adult."
Too deep. Go back.
Like. The thing I think about when it comes to like these takes is the Power Rangers 2017 movie, the really awful one with the cheese Goldar monster. Like Power Rangers and like Super Sentai and Power Rangers are like Cider and I were saying, they're campy. They're supposed to be a little ridiculous, but we're all supposed to be in on it. The second you start bringing in like, deep family psychological issues and I was abused and we're fighting back against systems that it's just like it gets so weird and away from what we're doing here that people who are fans of it don't want to engage with it, and then people who you're trying to entice, unless you do it insanely well like Alan Moore did with Watchmen, they're gonna go, wow, that was crap. Like that was just bad. And guess what? Most of the time it is ham-fisted and awful. Nobody has any tact nowadays. There's no movies or TV or comics being made where you walk away from it going like, oh, there are so many different angles to attack that like message or that story. It's just, be gay. We're all gay now. Isn't gay great? Like that's just like all it is.
Yes, you're right. There's wall to wall that. It's like, as said, I just enjoy being drug out at every opportunity, out of my immersion, out of my entertainment, to be reminded that I'm on the wrong side of history.
Yeah, like 100%. That's what they're doing, and that's why entertainment isn't fun anymore. Because nobody, if I wanted to go to school and get a lecture, we'd go to school and get a lecture. Again, for years. I mean, even to this day, the running like the term after school special is used derogatorily, because when we got those episodes back in the day for whatever show, they were usually really bad and really ham-fisted and didn't really impact any like social change. You guys want to know something? A lot of those after school specials were made or like the PSAs on G.I. Joe, those are made because there's like a law that states you have to have some lesson in children's cartoon to put it in there. Like it's not any deeper than, oh, we just need to be able to market this thing. So it's all off the rails at this point. But yeah, I got to rewatch that original Barbarella. Fun fact, I just looked this up because somebody mentioned it in the chat. This is the second time they've tried to redo Barbarella. And the first time was in the mid 2000s. You want to know who they cast? Rose McGowan was supposed to be Barbarella. Oh. And I'm just like, wow, I don't even know how that one would have worked out. Like
that one didn't happen.
Yeah, that one is just woo.
It depends on if that was like pre-car accident or post-car accident.
That's a good question. We'd have to investigate. I didn't look that closely.
Like 2005.
2000, yeah, sometime around then.
No,
but
gross.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, obviously Barbarella there's really no hope. I know we all love Sydney Sweeney. Just don't get your hopes up for this, guys. This is going to be, again, Jacob broke it down. There's really no hope. He black-pilled you, and it's a black pill I think we'd all readily be accept or like indulging, because it's very obvious what we're going to get is what I'm trying to say. But yeah. I think with that, we're running near the end of our show. I think before we get out of here, I want to hit two things very, very quickly, sort of a popcorn news items that aren't really that deep to discuss. But For those of you who did watch Doctor Who, there's a reference to Star Trek in the very first episode of this new series. Basically, the Doctor refers to like the Enterprise as actually existing in their universe. Russell T Davies gave an interview about, and somebody asked him about that reference, and he said straight up that it was inspired by his love of New Trek. And he said, quote, I used to watch the originals, but it wasn't until Star Trek Discovery that I became a proper fan. So I think that's insane. And I think that just speaks a lot to where Russell T Davies' creative decision or his like mindset is right now. My second popcorn bit of news is we finally got a title for Agatha, the Marvel series that literally nobody really wanted. It is a joke that everybody has like moved on past. Imagine if this is essentially the equivalent of you going to a party and somebody trying to like get everybody's attention with a Harambe joke. Like it is way past its expiration date. But if you guys remember, it had like 5 different title changes. Now they're trying to claim that was part of the series marketing, and it wasn't. There's no way it was, because we got official like production documents with all the different names on them. So it's just sort of really emblematic of how awful the MCU is right now. To that same end, we finally got apparently there was a behind closed doors preview of the trailer for Ironheart. And according to reports, so yeah, unfortunately that series looks like it's going to happen eventually. According to reports, the trailer was a short scene of Riri stealing parts to make a suit and then getting kicked out of college. And then just some like random shots of her in action. But to me, and I'm speculating right here, but I kind of wanted to throw this out to everybody and get it out there. I feel like that might be a deleted scene from Wakanda Forever, because she already had her like thrown together suit in Wakanda Forever. And then they never really talk about her going back to, like, she stays in Wakanda after all is said and done at the end of the movie. So again, that's just another bit where I'm like, is Marvel really that lazy? Are they that desperate? Is that show going to be that bad? I mean, the answer is yes, but sometimes you just gotta sometimes even there are things left in this industry that blow me away. And sometimes you just gotta go, what? So that's all I really wanted to bring up before we closed out tonight. Cider,
I do have a little bit of just bonus news just real quick.
Yes.
That there's an internal panic within AEW at the moment that apparently their show could be up here in the next 5 months, because they're coming up at the end of their deal for Warner Brothers Discovery, because they're on TNT and TBS at the moment. However, there's been no notification and confirmation or any indication that they're going to get renewed on the network here, which means that they could be out of a television deal in 5 months, but could effectively kill their company. So we'll be right back to only having WWE be the only pro wrestling brand on television.
And hasn't AEW been like doing really bad? At least
their recent ratings have not been good. I mean, look, I think their first show was like 1.2 million viewers. That was like 2019, I think it was when it started.
Yeah, that was recently.
They've been averaging roughly about 7,000 viewers every single week now, which isn't great. So, like I said, then Warner Brothers Discovery just had their upfront today, which is them basically like showcasing what they're coming up with in the fall. There was absolutely no mention of AEW whatsoever. And then when they did the phone call, the media phone call, still no talks about AEW at all. So some people close to Tony Khan are trying to spin this by saying that, they're working on making a big announcement, so everything's on the hush, when in reality, it's like, you guys may not actually have a television deal, and this whole thing could fall apart.
I like putting on my tinfoil hat. That makes me think that like everything Tony Khan did, like going out at the championship match or whatever, and then going to the draft the next day, like, that to me feels like it was a stunt to be like, no, look, we're really cool, we have a lot to offer still, please renew us, please. Like, that's bad.
Yeah, it's not good. But then again, I mean, I'm gonna be completely straight with you. I don't think it's honestly just a AEW thing, even though AEW loses their TV deal, like, they're going to get a lot of heat. But I honestly think a lot of these cable networks are just slowly giving up on pro wrestling, because remember, WWE had the exact same problem trying to negotiate with television networks. They're the WWE, like, they're the biggest brand in town, and they couldn't find another network. Exactly, they couldn't find another network.
Is that them?
Yeah, so Raw's going to be moving to Netflix in 2025. And then you have to remember SmackDown was on Fox, but they were doing so bad on Fox numbers wise. Fox completely said, no, we're not going to renew this. So you can go negotiate with somebody else. So
like there was no like period of like will they, won't they. Fox was just like, no, like we're done with you. Like we don't want any of this.
And then WWE almost had the same problem too, except for they just negotiated a 2-month I guess extended contract with USA Network because they were going to be off the air in September because their deal was technically up in September, but they agreed, the USA Network agreed to let them stay on the air for the rest of the year for like $25 million. But considering how much their actual like media rights deal is with the network, they're basically staying on the air for literally pennies just so they can be on the air before the Netflix deal goes around. So
that's what I was literally going to joke about, is like the only reason USA extended their deal is because like what is USA without WWE, right? Like that is where that's just, exactly.
I mean, I think this too. So USA was paying WWE, I think somewhere like $280 million a year, and that was for both NXT and for Raw. Those are the two shows that were on the network. And USA told WWE, I said, this is WWE now. So this is, like I said, it's not just an AEW problem, it's a media rights problem. They told WWE, look, we're not going to give you guys any more money. We're not going to essentially grow your pot here. We'll take the money that we're already giving you for the two shows and just take your highest rated show. So you can go take these other two shows and go shop them off somewhere else, and we'll just take SmackDown, which is literally what they did. So even with that deal, they didn't really get an increase. WWE probably would be in a similar situation had Netflix come out of nowhere and be like, oh yeah, we'll give you $5 billion for Raw. Like for what? Like for what?
Like, I think that instance was just like one of those perfect storms of like WWE got lucky and Netflix like wanted to get in on the wrestling game, but they always get in late. So this just happened to like fall in their lap because everybody else was like, we don't really want it. But yeah, that's not looking hot. Like that is, especially for AEW, because that was their whole thing, was like, we're the alternative, we're the other one. And now they might not even exist. So they're going to go the way of, what is it? The XFL. And they're just going to fold and nobody's going to be paid out.
Yeah. I mean, the XFL already folded into what, the USFL, and people don't even like, they don't even like mention it. It's like, who cares? It's not that important.
It's just, it's there. Yeah. Nobody really cares anymore. But yeah, everyone, with that AEW update, it looks, wrestling fans, it's not looking hot for you guys. Come join us. Come join the comic book fans, the video game fans, the Doctor Who fans, Star Wars fans. We've got a seat on this awful, our products are going into the shitter couch that we've all been sitting on for the last few years. But with that, guys, I think we have reached the end of tonight's show. As always, I want to thank absolutely every single one of you who showed up tonight to hang out with us, from Ravul to DZ3 to Hey It's Me in HD to Leslie, Timon, Josh. Obviously, get your ass back on the stream. I know we had Mitch. We had a bunch of other people trickling in throughout the show. I know Dante was here for a little bit. Eccentric Banana, as always. I think I might have mentioned him, but everybody else, and unfortunately Andrew was in here. I'll give you a shout out, whatever. But without you, like, guys, without you, we wouldn't be able to do this. We wouldn't be able to run Bounding or hang out with you every Wednesday night. So thank you guys for your support. We love doing this. We love hanging out with you, and you guys choosing to spend your time with us is one of the best things like in the world. It makes us all feel great, and we love hanging out with you. So as always, if you want more of us, you can come back next week, same bat time, same bat channel, for another episode of the 01 stream, where me, Josh Sider, and Jacob will break down the week's biggest entertainment news and Nerdigans. I was going to give her a little shout and say, and Nerdigans, if she wants to join us. But aside from that, before we get out of here, general Bounding news aside, I will pass it off to my friends here to let them know, or to let them let you know what they've got going on, starting with Jacob.
Yep. So coming up the next couple of days, I got a couple of reviews that will be out on Bounding as well. I have the next episode of the Bible Lynch, which is on Sunday night at 7 p.m. We're going to talk about if Palestine is the nation of the Antichrist. So it'll be a very, very deep dive, and we've done a series of deep dives over the last couple of weeks, so I'll enjoy doing that. And then this coming Tuesday, next Tuesday, is episode 100 of the Barroom Podcast. So we're basically just going to be recycling a whole bunch of our old clips and showing you some of the best and worst moments of 100 episodes of the Barroom. And I may even have a surprise or two. So there you go. That's what I got coming up this week.
Man, I am legitimately excited. I went after last night's show. I was like, wait a minute, we've got to be getting close to 100, and I saw that was 99, and I'm like so excited for next week because that show, yes, Barroom, always fun. Bible Lens, incredibly informative. Check out all of Jacob's stuff as always, and yes, he's been killing it with our movie reviews, dropping a lot. Like you've just been seeing so many damn movies, and take some of them okay, some of them like that French anime one I know you liked, but then a lot of them have not been hot as per usual. So
it's a weird cycle where it's like on some weekends I'll see like the best movie I've seen all year and the worst movie I've seen all year on the same weekend.
I mean, that's at least better than like the end of last year where you were like, I just saw this movie, worst movie of the year. Never mind, just saw this movie, worst movie of the year. Like there was a period where your list was changing. Like,
it was like 3 or 4 weeks, so it's like they just kept getting worse. So that's like
it was so bad. But at least we're past that stage. Cider, what have you got for the folks going on?
We put videos up here abounding all the time. Feel free to check them out. We had a couple of uppy downy ones there with talking about David Tennant's opinions about trans. And other than that, we have 01 stream here every Wednesday at 9 p.m. on this channel where I'll be uploading infrequently. Don't expect one next week, but infrequently episodes of the 01 the series. Tonight was the first one. I goofed a little bit on it. You'll see official video uploaded probably here in the next hour or so. I'll make sure it's nice and polished. So you'll have the first episode of 01 the series to take a look at. And moving forward, I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm sorry. I like it. I'm having fun. And it's probably going to expand into some more stuff involving a green screen because I'm bored and I want to test my limits. So here we go. But not in the weird Doctor Who way. Don't do that. Not that way.
Yeah, I don't think
the other test my limits, like the Goku way. Yeah, I want to do it the Goku way, not the Maestro way.
Yeah, Wibbly. No, you don't want to do the Wib. Oh, okay. I accidentally clicked.
That was a good time.
The Wibbly wobbly gender wendery. That's not how you're pushing
Wibbly wobbly gender bendy stuff. Yeah.
But no, yeah, like I'm super excited for the 01 show. And yes, check out Cider's uploads every day. He's got at least one video a day. They're all popping off lately. We're hitting our groove, so definitely check it out. I mean, obviously, if you're here, you're probably already subscribed and checking them out. But if you're not, hit that bell, hit that like, hit all of those fun notifications. As for what I've got going on, as always, guys, you can check out boundingintocomics.com every day for brand new news stories. We got a couple that went up today. I have a couple that are in the cooker that I'll be working on as soon as we jump off here. If you want more of me before next week's stream, you can obviously follow me on Twitter at Caboodle Writer Mav. Or if you're in the mood for, a shared or not, what am I trying to say? For like a discussion, a deeper discussion on some of the topics we might not get to around the sphere, anime, video games, toku, every Friday night at 5 p.m. Pacific time, I host a stream, The Good, the Mad, the Ugly, where I kind of just talk with you guys about whatever's happened out throughout the week, have some fun, kick off the weekend right. If that sounds like it's up your alley, come on, hang out. I'd love to have you. And yeah, aside from that, I think that is what we've got going on. Oh, obviously, go check out all of Nerdigans' stuff. I know she's not here to promote it, but her YouTube channel, her Twitter, all of her articles, go check that stuff out. And I think with that, we are done for the night. And I think we are ready to close out. So with that, take it easy, everybody.
See ya.